Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Dropped Frames. I'm JP McDaniel, as always joined by the cast and crew and our guest, Semmler. Co, what episode are we on before we get started?
Today is 2532.
2532, thanks very much, Co. Zeke, how you been, by the way, before we check in with our guest? Everything good?
I've been great.
Yeah? How's that breakfast that you made coffee, right? You didn't make breakfast this morning?
Yeah, I rarely ever eat breakfast.
Okay, all right. We'll check in with the coffee.
And I'm just not hungry in the morning.
It is the best meal of the day. I agree. My eggs were cold, though, this morning, Semmler.
No. I eat breakfast, just breakfast, like, for dinner. Like, I make eggs and French toast and stuff, like, for dinner.
Is it really breakfast,
like an omelet.
though? It's
breakfast food.
Hmm.
Do you eat? I mean, you can have whatever you want for breakfast. Absolutely, man. Yeah. Gets you fueled up for the day. I have very little lunch. Like that's kind of how I've switched it up. I have a big breakfast and then I just snack all day and then I'll have like a decent dinner. Yeah. There you go.
I'm on that 2 meal a day life as well. It's not. I don't think it's healthy.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It depends on what the meal is, though, right? If you're gonna be like James over at the Good Studio eating 1 pizza a day, you might need to rethink things.
Yeah, indeed. Our guest, who you've already heard speak, is Semmler. We'll probably have to do a little bit of an introduction. We don't do esports that often on this show, Semmler. In fact, I think you're the second. I think Sir Scoots was the only other esportsy guest besides yourself.
Really?
Unless I'm mistaken.
No,
who else have we had?
You had Day 9, didn't you?
We've had Day 9. We've had In Control, and we also had a guy that he was an esport coordinator or something a while back. It was a long time ago. You and him talked for like an hour straight. I don't remember the name of him though.
Esports coordinator.
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was like
sounds fishy.
I don't remember. I mean, we have done 2,500
consultants. I'm hearing so
kind of
much
blend
about.
together, So, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the esports coordinator? Maybe that was Scoots.
Didn't we?
That might have been Scoots.
I didn't think it was. Maybe so. Maybe not.
I don't know. Anyway, let's do some introduce yourself, Semmler, for those that might not know or might not watch any esports or CSGO or, and I guess now Overwatch. For those that don't know who you are, by the way, can I just yell, what the fuck are you doing wearing that shirt on a show, Semmler? You know that's not going to show up on camera.
Exactly. That's the thing, man. I'm about to blow people's minds audibly as well as visually.
Oh my God.
We're gonna go on a wild ride here, boys. We're gonna take a trip together.
Jesus Christ.
So
who are you, Semmler?
It's a little bit of the podcast activism going on. I am a commentator. I used to be a co-commentator with Anders in CSGO. I am a Good Studio survivor. I used to cast StarCraft 2. I used to cast Bloodline Champions. I've even casted some Dota 2 and some Han. And then for the past 5 years or so, you'd probably know me for CSGO commentary, where Anders and we started Room on Fire together. We kind of banded together with a bunch of the commentators, created a content hub there that never really took off, but still it was a cool idea. But mainly we just casted games, traveled around. And now I'm here in Burbank at the Blizzard Arena casting Overwatch. So I'm mainly a caster.
Yeah.
That's my bag.
When you say you're a survivor, what was that again?
God.
Of the Good Studio, yeah.
Zeke doesn't know what this. Yeah, you're talking to an audience.
Man, did I just step in a shit pile? I'm sorry.
No, not
at all.
We
it's
just
great.
need to. Yeah, go ahead, Semmler.
I am the sack of shit. And if anybody is a Good Studio, if you were there for the good days, you know what's up. And I feel like I need to get the chat out just to keep an eye on things, because I always feel like there's going to be somebody who's going to know what's up. Hey, point being, the Good Studio was what, like 6-7 years ago now, JP? 6 years ago?
It's not. We're not that old. Are we that old? Is it really?
We are that old. We are actually that old.
Jesus.
We are actually that old. So yeah, I think the main thing for the Good Studio is that we used to host. We got Apollo, myself, James Too Good Harding, who we will never work with again, Trance, and James's brother, all in a house in Sweden, and we decided to start a studio to just create content. And so we started hosting weekly tournaments that we put together for different games, StarCraft 2, for Quake, for Bloodline Champions. We started doing talk shows. One of them was The Good Show, which I think a lot of people know because that was the podcast at the time, pretty much, back in the day. And then what else? And we kind of we did the Diablo 3 stream when Diablo 3 launched. We streamed that for a week, like 24/7 stream. We literally turned our house into like Big Brother and just had cameras everywhere and whoever wanted to jump on the stream could jump on the stream. So I think I got like the 3 to 5 a.m. block most of the time because that's when the guys were sleeping. So I'd just like hop on the stream and entertain people. So I mean, you know, yeah, Good Studio was a madhouse. We were like 10. I think at the most we got up to like 12 people and like 12 cats living in that house.
You had a lot of kittens. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were doing State of the Game at the time, which was the esports show that I did.
Exactly.
And I always remember being jealous of y'all's intro because it was so much better than anything we had with that stupid fucking song that you played. And the little Good Studio thing. Yeah, it was great. It was a great intro.
It's fun though because it's like anything where you go through a significant amount of pain, right? Whether you're like running up a mountain or like running a marathon or something, you're like, Jesus Christ, why am I doing this to myself? This sucks. This is horrible. Ow, ow, ow. Yeah. And then you think back, you know, like a week later, you're like, actually, you kind of forget everything. You're like, that was sick. I need to do that again. And so that's kind of how everybody's feeling right now at the Good Studio, where we literally almost killed each other, basically, because when you're living around people 24/7 and doing content together and everything like that, you know, and a bunch of personalities in the house too. We almost murdered everybody, but you know, now we can look back, gin and tonic in hand, and think, man, it'd be really cool to do that again. Maybe we should.
Would it be cool to do that again? I don't.
It's something like that. It's like that girl that you like had a long-standing fling with or whatever, and you remember like, yeah, that was some good times, but you forget like she was crazy as fuck.
Exactly.
Like you
That's
forget
exactly
those
what I'm
things.
talking about. Yeah. They are crazy. They are actually crazy. No.
Yeah.
They're crazy in a good way. They're good people.
It would be that experience if that girl was named James and was also a man. Yeah. That would pretty
exactly.
What is Too Good up to these days? I haven't checked. Is he still making his game? What is he doing? Do you talk to him?
Yeah, man.
Still?
I was at his house not too long ago. Well, I was at his house, and then like Twitch had a great Christmas party in Stockholm, so there was a lot of people that came there, and so we all kind of got to catch up. And he's still working on his game, man. I mean, they're just chugging.
Well, that's cool.
They aren't stopping.
Yeah, he'll.
So I know it's been like many years now, but
he'll pop in a chat every once. I was playing, I don't know, Path of Exile or something competitive or something hardcore games. Something James would be into. And he popped in the chat and was like, oh, what the fuck? I haven't seen you forever. What are you doing here? This was like a couple months back, so I haven't seen him since then.
He has dropped. He just lives like a hermit. He never leaves the house. You know, you're like, hey, James, want to go get a drink? And, you know, no answer.
Yeah.
It's like, the only guy who can actually get him out of the house is Trance, I think.
Yeah,
so
that
Trance,
makes sense.
You know, blessed be Trance.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what's keeping our link going with James.
That makes sense. Well, before we get to the Overwatch League, which had a pretty good first week last week, we'll talk esports and talk CSGO a little bit. You recently left the CSGO world, and you're kind of, I think it's safe to say, at the top of that in kind of the broadcasting sense. What was that like leaving, and how long ago was that decision made before it went public for you?
It was a tough and an easy decision all rolled into one. I mean, it's comfortable to be in CSGO, or at least for me, it was comfortable to be in CSGO, just because I kind of know where you are. You're a known quantity. You're a known personality, and so life is kind of easy in the CSGO world. And so, but then the opportunity to cast Overwatch League, because people forget that Anders and I casted Overwatch at the E-League. E-League did the tournament at the end of 2016. And Anders and I casted Overwatch back then, and it was something that we wanted to keep doing more of, try to find a balance between doing CSGO and Overwatch.
Uh-oh.
I think the Blizzard Burbank offices. Oh,
there we go.
You're back?
There we go. We're good.
Okay,
We're back.
Random blip. Sorry. Continue.
And so, but there just weren't many Overwatch tournaments, and then CSGO schedule was so full that we never really got to do Overwatch again, right? So we kind of just kept chugging along with CSGO. But at the end of last year, when everything kind of, took a turn, Anders and I decided we weren't going to cast together anymore. He decided to pair up with Moses, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to let everything sit and just kind of figure out where I am right now. I have E-League going on, and that's what I'll do for now, and that lasts about a month and a half, and after that, I'll just figure it out, right? You know, see what comes up. I mean, maybe just wait for 2018 and see what comes up in 2018. And it was about that time when E-League, when Blizzard reached out and asked me if I was interested in casting Overwatch League for them. And at that point, I was just like, fuck yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I want to do right now. Change from CS into a game I like as well, that I think fits my style of commentary better. It kind of gets me back to my roots of commentary, where I just want to get really excited and hyped about things and have like a high pace and, you know, slip a few jokes in there and all that. I mean, it felt like a no-brainer at the time to get into Overwatch. I was like, awesome, I have the opportunity. I'm going to take it for sure. It's going to be challenging because I'm not going to be living in Stockholm. I mean, I live half the year in Los Angeles now.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit that's just, you know, one of the prices you got to pay. Something great happens, but sometimes, you know, you're going to have to give some things up to get it. And so for me, that just means that, you know, I'm in Los Angeles 6 months out of the year, and then I'll spend the next 6 months, you know, after that, more or less, in Sweden.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just, you know, little things like that you got to give up. But the whole leaving CSGO thing, I mean, sure, it's tough because you're leaving comfort, right? You're leaving a known place, a known field where
was that a little bittersweet?
Kind of good. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was, but then at the same time, it wasn't, you know, because it all changes, right? I mean, there are always going to be the people who remember how it was at the start of something, but they quickly get replaced by new people, right? Or they get crowded out.
It's kind of the esports way, right?
Who have no idea. Exactly. Who have no idea what the start was like, who have no idea what happened and how it was. And so I think at the very beginning, right, you know, of CSGO, when it was really taking off, you're just like fucking A, you feel like a really tight community because everybody is here because they really want to be here, you know, because they care about the game and everything. And then it slowly starts to morph into something else. And I think by the end of it, you know, by the end of my run in CSGO, I was just kind of like, I don't know this community anymore. You know, this is totally different. And now, like, it's not the same people, not the same jokes. They don't remember the days of DDoS, or they don't remember all the horrible shit that used to happen in CSGO. And so I felt kind of estranged from the community in a way. And so yeah, it wasn't, you know, it was hard to give up what was familiar, but at the same time, I was like, I'm in a good place to do something new and try a new challenge. So there you have it. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, dude, like, even though I wasn't even a part of that, like, you described like sort of what's been what's happening with Twitch. Like, there's a few of us that were there at, like, you know, like the you know, I've been 2010 I made an account, so like 8-ish years, like getting close to 8 years now. So like back when it was Justin TV and like everybody knew like the 5 casters that, you know, did variety stuff. And we're like, hey, everybody knows each other. And like the first party I ever went to, I was just like, oh my God, I know everybody here. And then last TwitchCon party, it was like this huge, like 15,000 people, just like, oh, I remember when we all fit into a bar.
Yeah, it is true.
Totally.
Dude, Zeke, you said exactly like that was. You basically took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing. It's crazy how much what Semmler just said is it's almost like all communities that start small and with passion is if they grow enough, they're almost all going to get to the point of where Twitch is now, where CS is now. I bet you Overwatch will be even bigger than it is one day. And all this stuff we're talking about right now will be that little time OOL started when there wasn't 5 different leagues and 39 different teams. And there was only one league and everyone watched that one league. And it's kind of like, it's always going to happen. It's just going to keep telescoping out.
Yeah. Is there not resentment, but like looking back at kind of where CSGO is right now, do you think it's really changed that much? Has it gotten so big that so many people are kind of pulling the strings where they weren't before? Is that kind of what you're getting to or getting at and what you're saying, Semmler?
No, it was more like the community, I think, just Reddit and all of this sort of stuff, you know, it's kind of changed over time. When it comes to tournament organizers and all that sort of stuff, you know, it's always the same people. It's always ESL who are kind of, you know, one step ahead just because they're so big. They can muscle anybody out that they want to, right?
Totally.
And so, you know, they purposefully, whenever a new game comes around, they purposefully try to put themselves in a position to dominate as much of it as possible and allow very little growth on the sides. And so it means that we lost, you know, some cool tournaments and, you know, that just couldn't keep up. Right, Fragbite was a great tournament. They didn't have their priorities straight, sadly, so they weren't able to keep up with ESL when ESL started to take over the market. Aces ROG. I mean, I'm not like this isn't like it's ESL's fault. It's also obviously the smaller tournament organizers' faults for not being able to keep up. But Now it's really just, CS is just kind of going to settled. The one big thing and that I'm really excited about is Blast Pro Series, because it seems like those guys, well, they kind of cheated a little bit in a way, because they just came in with shitloads of money, and they're like, actually, we are willing to just come in with shitloads of money because we have the connections, we know the people, we know how to sell. We're going to get people who are experienced in non-endemic shit that has nothing to do with esports, right? So we're going to get real salesmen and real people that have run events and know how to put this on. And so they're taking a big risk, but I'd say what we did in the arena in Copenhagen was fucking awesome, right?
Yeah.
And so hopefully Blast, their model continues to grow, because I think that's what CS needs. They don't need more of the ESL, and sadly DreamHack Gray, because DreamHack have definitely become just a joke, like a shadow of what they used to be. Like they don't have a soul anymore, I don't think, ever since they got bought and things changed. They've just completely lost touch with what made them interesting and what made them fun. I mean, JP, you've been to DreamHacks back in the day. I mean, DreamHack Winter and Summer, those were like the mecca of esports. You went there because it was just like, everybody's going to be there. You're going to know everybody, but you're going to meet some new cool people, and it's just the place to be for esports. And now it just feels like nobody gives a shit about them anymore, because it's just rinse and repeat. And how much show space can we sell? Because God help us, we need to turn a profit now.
I think there's also the sense, like, esports back then was, as Ko I think said, kind of a passion project for a lot of people, and now it's like, well, now this is a moneymaker. Like, now there's so much money put into, what they're trying to do at all their productions, that if it doesn't turn a profit, like, everyone's so money and profit focused at the top, rather.
Well, that's
than
what happens when you agree to get bought.
Right.
That's what happens, because all of a sudden you're gonna have your overlord who's like, actually, we invested in you, and we intend to see a return on that investment. And so whatever the fuck you're doing that's costing money, that's not going towards that profit, stop doing that.
And that's happening at Twitch right now.
With all this kind of stuff, with Twitch, with what you guys are talking about, with let's face it, game development. I mean, games used to be passion projects, but now in the big line, the line in the sand is the first time someone gets brought into a place where decisions are made, and that person is not there for whatever you're doing. They're there to make money. That's when it starts. It's when you start getting people in decision spots that are there to make money, that aren't there because they care about esports or care about games or care about Twitch. They're there to return money that they put in more than they get out, or more than they put in. So, and that's it. That's all they think about. And,
well, it's been happening. It's been happening with movies since forever. Dude, it's like, I have this great movie. I wrote this movie. It's awesome. Can I get some money for it? They're like, yeah, but I don't really like this part when this happened. I mean, if you want my money, you got to take this fucking part out of it. It's like, that's the whole movie. It's like, well, I guess you don't get any money then.
Yeah. That's true.
Yep. That is absolutely
true. What about when you left, Semmler, was there like, what was the general consensus? I watched the video where a lot of the I guess old school, or at least your casting friends and partners and whatnot, said their goodbyes. But what about the actual community themselves? Were they pissed off, especially for a game like Overwatch, where I think those two games are a little bit at ends with each other, or at least maybe CS looks at Overwatch a little bit not positive.
That's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've thought about it a lot in terms of the community reaction, the way that what was happening with me.
Yeah.
It's this kind of comes into like the philosophy of commentary, where you need to be in a good place to be a good commentator mentally, right? For people to resonate with you, because you're kind of like a sounding board. It's like a streamer, right? Same thing. Your community is going to feel how you feel. Yeah. If you're having a ball in time and you're having a great time and just enjoying yourself and, positive, and it's at the risk of sounding like hippie or whatever, but like positive energy, right? that's what's going to happen with your chat. That's what's going to happen with your viewers. They're going to have fun because you're having fun. And that's how it's supposed to be, in terms of a commentary perspective, right? That's how it's got to be as well. You got to be just having a good time. You can't be feeling like, oh shit, man, I really wish I was doing something else, because then that's going to translate through. And so, this whole, like, the whole community, what happened, 2017, April, March, where I was just getting slammed by the community, I totally understand as well, because, I wasn't in a good place at all. Like, mentally, I was not in a good place. And so, but I kept just thinking, oh, if I keep working, that's good. If I keep working, it'll sort itself out. right? And it just didn't. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse because there was all this room on fire pressure, all the commentators. There's all these things bouncing around my head that were taking away energy all day long. And so whenever it came time to cast, it was like mechanical, you know, it was just coming out, right? There would be moments where I would have fun, but most of it was just mechanical, going through the motions. And so obviously the community are going to pick up on that. You know, the viewers, they're going to understand something's not right. And so, you know, that they kind of, you know, came out and just, you know, heavily criticized me. Fair enough, right? They've, yeah, I wasn't on my A game for sure, and they're gonna feel that, and you know, maybe they don't know it, but they're gonna start feeding off of that as well, and that'll just feed everything, and it gets kind of brutal. And so when there was the general. It seems like in these comments that I read, and I don't really look at Reddit much anymore, but when I took a glance because Duncan did that video, which was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was a nice send off.
You know, I really have to give. Listen, yeah. Duncan is one of the best human beings you'll ever meet in your goddamn life. If you like, people get all caught up with the Twitter persona and well, I mean that just the fact that he refuses to take any shit.
Yeah, he never backs down.
You know, for those who don't know,
backs down.
Yeah.
Thorin. Sorry, Thorin.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, people have trouble with Thorin because he's blunt. He's quick-witted. He's, you know, and he's not willing to take any shit. He'll call you out just the way that he'll get called out if he fucks up, right? You know, I mean, he's just so that's what at face value that's what people see. But then people, because they see that, they don't look at the actions of the man, right? And you know, Duncan's the kind of guy who will just bring you a comic book because he thought that you'd think that comic book was cool. You know, you're like on a flight and he gets to the tournament, he gives you this comic book. He's like, hey man, you know, I was thinking of you, and you know, I thought you would like this one, so here, you know, have it. And you're just like, oh, you know, what? Duncan, you know, that's really cool, man. Like, hold on, like, I gotta get you a drink now or something, right? You know, like and then he did this video where like I had no idea. He just texted me in the morning. He was like, hey bro, you know, are you busy? Here, check this out. And I was like, the fuck is this? He's like, I got a bit of a present for you, right? And I was like, what? And then I opened that up and I'm like bawling my eyes out because I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, I had no idea that was coming. And that's just Duncan putting it together. None of the others would have, you know?
Yeah.
It's just Duncan, being like just one of the best human beings I've ever met. So, I mean, so yeah. So that kind of sets it up for what happened in the comments and Reddit when I saw what happened, where people are just like, oh, we chased him away. You know, we chased him away. And I'm like, no, it was valid at the time. You know, I was getting roasted, and it was valid at the time because I really wasn't doing a good job, and I wasn't in a good place, and it all kind of compounded on each other. And so I wouldn't say that the CSGO community, you know, you guys chased me away. For the fans out there who really had my back, you know, like that's the thing. It's like you're gonna have the fair weather friends, and then you're gonna have the people who actually are fans of you and who really care and who do send me messages, right? Because I do get messages from people who really do care about my work, and I'm just like, those, you know, so long as I have those people, there's still like that anchor, that safe, that thing that you can kind of latch onto in a stormy night, right?
Sure.
And so yeah, I don't really, yeah, I mean, sorry, this is long-winded, but I don't really care about what else happens on Reddit, right? You know, the comments and all of that sort of stuff, because I know that 90% of those people will just within 2 days will hop on to the next thing.
Sure.
But I got a lot of very kind messages from you know, from fans that, you know, I recognize their Twitter photo avatar because they just tweet me all the time, right? So I know when I get a cool message from him, I'm just like, oh yeah, cool, man, you've been tweeting at me for 3 years. Like I know where you're at. You're cool, right? You're awesome. So it was those people who really, that I felt sad to leave, but you know, we'll see. Who knows what the future holds?
Well, so I'm sure that you deal with a lot of stuff, especially in esports. Do you think esports and commentating or being a part of that is a more harsh world than just live streaming, as far as like getting shit on by people who watch you?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
No, esports. Do you think it's a harsher world than just live streaming?
Absolutely not. Dude, I have tremendous respect for anybody who does live streaming full time. Whenever because I used to do it a lot back in the Good Studio days when I really had nothing better to do than just sit in my room for 10 hours a day because I was broke and I could do nothing else but stream. And so, but that's point being, right? I was just doing a ghetto stream. You guys do like fucking like sick graphics. You really put work, and you can tell that you guys put work and energy and love into what you do, right? But that's fucking hard. It's a stream day in, day out, because you have to stream, because if you don't stream, you lose your subs or you lose your support, or your sponsors aren't happy or whatever. So you've got to stream even if you don't want to. And you've got to have fun, even if, you know, maybe you started out not in the best of moods. Somehow you have to find a way to flip that switch so that you're having fun, because if you're not having fun, then the people are going to know it, right? So I mean, it's a tremendously difficult job to do. I think I have a lot of respect for full-time streamers, because I've tried it and it ain't easy. So
yeah,
I think it's almost, but I don't know if you wanted to frame the question in terms of like what community, how dealing with community, or
yeah, like you talked a lot about Reddit comments and stuff like that. Like,
sure.
How did you maybe go into like how you deal with that, like maybe even internally? Like how do you handle it?
The long sigh.
Because I mean, I'm loud, obnoxious, and abrasive, and I'm childish, and I do all this kind of stuff, and I throw temper tantrums, and so I have to deal with a lot of, you know, shitty comments. I'm just wondering, like, what's your life like that? Like,
anybody who says, like, and I used to say this, right, where anybody who says that they don't, you know, like, they don't give a fuck about the negative comments, they don't give a fuck about the haters, right? You know, that shit doesn't mean anything. That is just white noise. They're lying. Because it is like, the way that I see it is that it used to be like getting a rock thrown at you, right? You know, you'd feel it a lot, right? It hurt. But you get more and more of those, and you start to get a little desensitized, just because you can start to just kind of, you know, shake it off, right? You're just like, oh, okay, another one, right? Another one. But they're still, you know, eventually they get down, you know, they're rocks, but they get down to the size of like pinpricks, right? You're still feeling that pinprick, but it's not as bad. But how I try to deal with it, or what I was really trying to work on, and this is what got misinterpreted at, misinterpreted. I didn't do a good job of explaining it. But when I was getting roasted the hardest at DreamHack Masters in Vegas last April, and I said, you know, I am my harshest critic, where I don't need any of you. Like, I don't need any of you criticizing me, because I watch my VODs, I listen to myself, and I know when I say something, the instant I say something, I know, oh, I could have done that better, or I fucked up, or whatever, right? Like, just, there's always that internal monologue going on. And so what I did a poor job of explaining is this: I am my harshest critic, and the reason I say that is because you can't pin what your image is of yourself on what others think or do or say. Everything has to come from you. And so when you have, like, that is why you can take outside input, but at the end of the day, it all has to come. You have to be able to sit there and say, you know, and this is what's extremely hard to do. I'm not saying this is easy, but you have to be able to just internalize all of it and just say, okay, but I am doing this. I don't care about what people think about me, and I need to be doing what feels good in my gut at that moment. And if that's what I need to do, I have to try to be true to that, and as true to that as possible, right? Because that's the only path to happiness, I think. If you start pinning your happiness on the community, what I did, you know, when Reddit turned against me, you know, I realized just how much of my happiness I had pinned on them, and it shocked me. It kind of scared me, because I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I thought. You know, I thought I was past this. I thought I didn't care. But when they really turned on me, I was just like, ouch. I really felt that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not good. I didn't realize I had that much of my happiness pinned on this outside factor that I can't even control. That's not a healthy thing. And so I was able to see that and take away from it and say, okay, not going to visit Reddit anymore. I'm not going to include that as a part of my day-to-day. I need to fill that part, what I was getting from Reddit or Twitter or whatever the social media, I need to fill that with something else that's constructive or positive.
And see, Semmler, that's a process all non-IRL Twitch streamers go through, is eventually distancing yourself.
Yeah,
so, it's glad esports has a similar thing there.
It's definitely weird. It's definitely a weird thing in both esports and anything kind of Twitch related. Like, I think a lot of broadcasters use their community as like a support system, which I think you can, but you can, like you said, it the second they turn on you, it's got a really fucking, it's like a friend saying, you can't talk to me anymore. We're not friends anymore. Let's not do this. Whatever we had is gone. And that's a shitty thing.
It's super painful.
Yeah.
It's you feel betrayed, or you feel like it's betrayal, but then it turns into the whole finger pointing game. Like who betrayed who, and maybe you need to realize, hey, maybe you're the one who let him down.
Right.
Maybe you got complacent. Maybe you started to take things less seriously.
And
for whatever reason, right? But
yeah,
maybe it's justified that you're getting roasted. And
well,
so that was the conclusion I had to come to.
It's also difficult figuring out why they turned, because it's, if it was one other person, you just go and talk to that person. This is, thousands upon thousands, depending on the size of the community of people, and they all kind of have their own take on this situation. So you can't turn around and just have like an open conversation unless it's purely introspective on yourself and speaking to them. So it's a weird thing, man.
Well, there's the other thing of just, you're going to have to deal with things that aren't in your control either. And the fact of the matter is, when it comes to commentators, right? When you've cast, like you become old hat. People start to know all of your catchphrases. People start to know everything that you do, because you have a bit of a pattern when you commentate. And so it's understandable when you got a new commentator that comes up, they've got catchy ways of saying things that are different from yours. And all of a sudden people are like, oh, that's fresh, right? You can't do anything about that sort of stuff. And so it's like, it's not necessarily the community turning against you personally. It's just like, oh, here's this new shiny thing. I like this new shiny thing. I'm going to go over here. I don't want to use this old shiny thing anymore. Like this old shiny thing has got some dust on it now. That's not cool. Like, I want this new shiny thing over here. Right. And so that's, you have to understand that's out of your control as well.
Yeah.
You can't let that eat away at you, because because it's not going to be, it's not going to end well.
I think that's, to relate it back to Twitch, which we've kind of been doing all show long. I think that's something that's happening right now in the upper sphere of Twitch when it comes to a lot of the 15, 20,000 plus viewer broadcast. There's people that are kind of stepping into that realm, and you're starting to see a lot of the bigger broadcasters think like, well, what the fuck is happening? Like, I've been doing this for 4 years and getting so many viewers, blah, blah, blah. And now that's not, like, now I'm not the top dog. So that's a weird feeling. I guess I got to kind of adjust to that. And I think you're seeing that across the board. So it's weird how I haven't really thought about it too much, but it's weird how the two industries kind of relate in that sense.
I think to stay ahead of that, you just have to be, you have to be, let's say, properly ruthless, in the sense that if you want to stay ahead of that curve, you need to do everything you can, whether it's going to be good or bad. You got to do everything you can to either cut out the opposition or take advantage of the opposition and do whatever is necessary. Like a lot of these late night, show hosts I'm loving right now, Colbert and all these guys, right? That they're just, it's when people think that, oh, they're just bashing Trump because they really have, a soapbox to stand on because they don't agree with what he says. It's like, nah. If you've ever been in the streaming business, if you've ever been in the TV business, you know what's up. You know what's going on. Those guys know that they get the best ratings they'll ever fucking get if they just fucking smack Trump around a little bit. Yeah. And so that's all it is. It's just a game. And so that's what you have to be willing to do. You have to be willing to put yourself and your thoughts on a shelf and do whatever is necessary to stay ahead of the curve and keep those ratings going. And so that's what these older streamers are going to have to start thinking about, is like, how much of themselves do they want to give up to stay on top? And that's what I realized as well. It was like, how much do I want to give up to stay on top? And I realized, around that March, April, May area, where I was just like, not that much. Like, I don't want to give up that much of myself, to
well, I think
be up there.
Give up.
I wasn't really planning on doing this, but starting tomorrow morning, thanks to the advice of Semmler, Politico with your host.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Get on board. Everybody's on the train now, man. Get on board.
Let's do it, man. I need some more viewers. Let's smack Trump around a bit.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. I mean, you can apply that to a lot of different things besides the business or the show business world, for sure. In the past couple of months.
Politico.
Yeah.
It was too easy, man. Too easy.
Crazy.
That was a good one.
I think that's called low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Got up.
Yeah.
Semmler, since you don't know, like, he does that all the time. Like, Ko is a very easy name to plug into, like, all kinds of stuff.
I mean, he's obviously good at it. I mean, come on, that was quick. That was off the cuff, just like, there we go. We're rolling with it. We're dodging. I love it, man.
Before we
gotta work fast in this industry, man. Gotta work quick.
You do, yeah. Before we leave kind of the CSGO world behind in terms of conversation, do you have like a favorite cast or like a favorite event that you'll always think back to? Like, oh man, that was the event that I casted for CSGO that I'll always remember. And not to say you won't ever cast CSGO again, but you know.
No. That's always that's always it's always a tough one because obviously like 5 years and most of that on the road, it kind of blurs into everything. Well, let's say 3 years. The past 3 years have been on the road. First two were kind of like home casting, right?
Yeah.
MLG Columbus, the major, that will I think always stand out for me as one of the most exciting events that I've been a part of. Because MLG, for the at the time, we were fighting for caster rights or improving the quality of life of a caster on the road, right? We were fighting pretty hard against ESL and against DreamHack and these other established, tournament organizers, right? And obviously they know that they can't give you any ground because then they're setting precedent and they've already set precedent with Tastosis, and God forbid they ever go that far again. And so they're going to fight you tooth and nail to make sure that you don't ever get up to Tastosis level again, right? And so, it was this ongoing battle. And so right from the start, what made that event memorable for us was just like, holy shit, MLG are treating us like fucking rock stars. They got us the great flights that we wanted, individual hotel rooms, which was, still something you had to pull the knives out and really go at people for back then, right? CSGO casters. All of this shit and food and everything was taken care of. It was such like a fucking awesome professional event in the back end that already we were just like, we will work for MLG forevermore. We will, if there is an MLG event, we will be at that MLG event because this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then we just got the games, the crowd, the packed stadium. We got to cast right in the crowd as well. We were interacting with them, during downtime and shit. Even in the game, they were shouting at us when we were shouting back. It just came together to be this fucking magnificent event. Really, I mean, there was some drama on the back end, the things that kind of spoiled it for me personally. But you got to take the good with the bad, and really the good in this case just fucking outweighed the bad so much. It was I think back to it, I could still remember it pretty clearly. And so yeah, I'd say MLG. That stage was awesome. Yeah, I'd say MLG Columbus is pretty much the standout event for me.
That wasn't in their studio in Columbus, right? That was at Convention Center?
Some of it was.
Some of it was?
Some of it was.
The lead into it, I think,
and then
was?
the playoffs.
Okay, that's right.
I think it was the groups that were in their stadium, and then we had the playoffs in the
That's right, I remember that.
The big to-do stadium.
Yeah. And that was the first was that the first CSGO event in 2016 for MLG, or did they do one before that? Again, like you said,
no, they did Aspen, remember? They did Aspen, and that's why Duncan became their patron saint, basically.
That's right.
MLG became Duncan's patron saint, whichever way that relationship works.
Yeah.
But basically, Duncan went over there to work for them, Thorin, and he was just like, oh my God, I am working MLG forever. And we're just like, what do you mean? What did they do? Because none of us had worked with them yet, right? So we'd all been working with ESL, DreamHack, others, right? And so he was just like, guys, think about it. Uber Eats, or delivered food. You want food? You want good food? MLG gets you good food if you ask for good food. I was just like, what?
Adam and Ryan take care of the talent. They did for the longest time.
Dude, I've got a little story. Adam is just so Adam. We were doing rehearsals at the stadium, and we've been there for a couple
Introduce who Adam
hours.
is, by the way, first before we jump in.
Adam Apicella. Adam Apicella is the basically head of tournaments for MLG, and he's the kind of OG hardcore guy that was doing it when there was no money, doing it for passion, just because he wanted to, because that's what he wanted to do, and he's been just running tournaments for MLG for I don't know since the beginning, basically.
Yeah.
And just like Adam, he's just a fucking awesome human being. But because he puts his heart and soul into everything he does. And so that tournament was really just Adam, doing everything he could to make that tournament the best it could be. And you could tell, man, it was unreal. He was a machine. He was just unstoppable, just everywhere at once. And so we were at the stadium doing rehearsals, and it's just dragging on and on and on. And we're just sitting there and like, oh my God. And we hadn't eaten yet because we thought that it would, for some reason we hadn't eaten. We thought, I think we'd get out or there was going to be food there or something, and we'd been let down. And so we were sitting there for hours with no food, and we were all starting to get a bit cranked, right? And so Adam, he just happens to be coming by. He's like, hey guys, how's it going? He's like, well, man, I'm a little hungry right now, but apart from that, things are great. And he's like, oh really? And then guy comes back this is the guy who has 50,000 things to do on his list to that day. And he comes back 10 minutes later with a fucking sub sandwich for me. He's just like, hey man, just stopped off across the street, got this for you real quick. Hope things are good. Hope this helps. I was like, I love you. I will work I will work for you forever. Please. He was so cool. It was just those little things like that where I was just like, you are just an awesome human being. Thank you so much. Like, you just made my day 1,000 times better just because I got to get a little food in my belly. And then I was like, then I could rehearse all day. I don't give a fuck. Now I had something to eat. This is great.
Yeah.
You know,
Adam's a unique person in esports. He was my first boss at MLG and my boss the entire time I worked there. But even after I left MLG, even as like the past 6 months, he'll see something, I'll tweet something or like that, and he'll DM me and be like, hey, you good? Everything good? Like, we don't work together at all in we haven't spoken in 6 months, and he's like, you good? Anything I can do?
Yeah.
Are you right? It's like, all right. Adam's a good guy. He's one of the guys in esports that I think everyone should meet, but also don't get on his bad side. Like, he is the bulldog of MLG, and if you go against him, he will make sure that you pay for it, or at least there's going to be a war and someone will win and someone will lose. Yeah, he's a funny guy
awesome.
when shit starts flying on Twitter. Behind the scenes, he's already pulling a bunch of the strings, which is always a lot of fun. But yeah,
he knows how that game is played.
Without a doubt. Which was so interesting when MLG got bought by Blizzard, because it was kind of like, you still gonna be able to do that same shit, Adam? Like, how's that gonna work? But I guess it's still trucking along.
He had to find a different outlet.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk Overwatch. You guys had
Wait.
No? No?
Before we go on,
Okay.
if we could get a little bit serious here.
Uh-oh.
Semmler, I'm gonna have to see that tattoo, buddy.
Oh.
Yeah, show the
Speaking out,
sleeve.
man,
Show
what
off
is
the
that?
sleeve, baby.
So,
Damn.
let's see. Can we see it?
Go a little closer to the camera.
So, yeah.
Is that a phoenix?
Yeah, exactly. With chrysanthemums around.
Oh man, that is cool.
Nice.
That is very cool.
Chrysanthemums in the crook here.
Nice.
And then
And
with the let's see. This is harder than it looks. With the feathers going up.
very cool, man. Very cool. I'm not going to be that guy that's like, so can you explain the meaning behind it? But it's beautiful. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks for showing it.
Yeah,
There was a lot of requests in chat to see the sleeve.
A lot of people in chat were asking what it was.
Yeah. And there are meanings to it, but yeah, it finished it about a year ago.
Yeah.
Finished it about a year ago. Exactly right. All I say now is that it's like a piece of my armor. So I liked that the Japanese used to. The Yakuza and the prisoners kind of gave it a bad rap, but tattoos originally were actually used as like, firemen used to get tattooed like that, and that was their protection against the fire, right? To like protect and help them versus the fire. Like there were positive things in Japanese culture when it came to tattoos before they obviously got tied up and appropriated by the gangsters.
Right.
But and so I always appreciated that. I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of just a fort. Like obviously, it's all in your head, right? But it's like a piece of my armor. I was like, yeah, okay, cool, I like that.
Yeah.
So.
Hell yeah.
Zeke, you have tattoos, right? Am I the only person that doesn't have tattoos on the show?
I have one.
Yeah. I don't think I could ever settle on one idea to have on my body forever. So I just like, I don't think I'll ever get one.
You can't get too hung up on it, but that's why tattoos get addictive. Is that you have that one idea and you're like, okay, you finally commit, and you finally do it, and then you're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
I have another idea.
I know. I
just keep going.
I've got a friend who got one when we were in high school, and now they have like 14 or 15 like the pretty much both sleeve, both leg, like anywhere that they can in a professional manner cover it up. They have a tattoo, so I understand the addictive personality of them for sure.
It's just prohibitively expensive if you go to a good artist, and so that's the only thing that's holding me back. Is just, do I really want to spend that much money? No. Show some restraint.
Yeah.
So,
and then finding a good artist. That's another can of worms these days.
Yeah.
That too. There are a few out there who are really interesting, but then it's like, okay, they have a 3-year waiting list. So okay, then I guess I will just wait 3 years then. Whatever.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's just gonna be a thing.
Jesus. All right, well, let's talk some Overwatch here while we have you for the next 35, 40 minutes. You guys premiered last Wednesday. We talked about it on the show. We actually had Day 9 here last week, and we were kind of talking about numbers, and I think everyone was kind of thinking like, well, what's a number they got to hit here? You guys had so much going into the league in terms of not necessarily, drama or bad publicity out there, but the whole thing of 20 million for a team slot, the whole, just the money behind the league was very transparent. It was very out there. So when we went into it last week, I think we were all saying, 150, 200,000 would be a good day. And I think the official number, or at least the number that I saw floating around, was around 440 or 420 combined through all the streams last week. So smashed at least what we thought on the show was going to occur. Granted, first week is not the entire story. You got to see where it is, a month down the line, etc. But internally, can you talk about like number wise how that was?
Oh, I can to start. I can say that I don't know what the targets they need to hit, right? Because that's on the business side of things, and that's in the contracts and all that sort of stuff. And I obviously am just a commentator, right? I'm not on the business side of things at all.
People
what
talk,
I can
though.
speak to, what I can speak to though, is that people were over the moon.
Okay.
Like everybody was just super stoked. They're like, wow, fucking awesome, great, cool, great start. And I think it was more of like a breath of relief as well. Like just having done the first day, everybody was like, okay, this is real. We're here now. This is it. This is what it is going to be for the following months. That the broadcast is on. We're getting everything sorted out. We're looking for ways to improve already. But I think it was just this major sigh of relief from everybody. Like, the waiting's over. Good. Let's get to work. Right.
Yeah.
But as far as numbers were concerned, man, everybody here were just like awesome, like stoked. And so it doesn't make me like, because if they had failed to hit, because I've seen it in the past. Different TOs, right? If they had failed to hit their numbers, then you would have that kind of like fixed smile kind of look on people where they're just like, oh yes, it was a great day.
Good
yes,
job,
we
everyone.
did a fantastic, good job, team.
Yeah.
Oh god, how am I gonna explain this to the spot? Good job, team.
Good job, everyone. Look at the ground. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So wait, what about the next one? Yeah, we'll call you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When people ask how it went, there's a lot of nodding. Good, real good. It went good. Went real good.
Or the best is just affirmation that it occurred. So it was good. Yeah, it happened. Yeah, we
it
did
happened.
it.
The thing happened.
We put it on and it occurred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely yeah, I've seen that before. Definitely.
It's a totally different beast here though, man, because it's like after 5 years of dealing with Valve devs who care in their own way but are definitely very, very, very hands off. They give you a lot of free room, they give you a lot of, and really just they'll do the minimum required on this so long as it has some kind of monetary, like there's it's going to make money. Okay, we'll put our time into it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's that's what motivates Valve. And I mean, you're making a game, so let's be straight here. Nobody's doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Obviously, they have bosses they need to go to justify where they're putting their time at the company. And so if you're a dev, obviously you're gonna have to put your time into something that's going to generate some kind of revenue for the company. Cool beans, right? But like,
yeah, but
Overwatch
this is fucking
man,
Blizzard,
they are on
right?
top of it, man. Yeah, Blizzard, they are on top of it. Like they really care. They really want to see this do well. It's not like they just gave Nate and Anzer the here, you're off the leash, go and do whatever you want with our IP.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Nate and Anzer, by the way,
definitely got to say, but
he's the commissioner of the Overwatch League. For those that don't know,
Nate and Anzer is the commissioner of the Overwatch League, right?
Yeah.
So and he's a super cool guy. Finally got to meet him in person, right? And yeah, really cool, competent, right? But it's just those devs, man, they really care here. So
I think
it's a bit of a different beast.
This will turn into like a little circle jerky on Blizzard, but I think it says a lot when you have Morhaime at almost every event they put on, more likely than not sitting in the front row and like excited for what's about to occur. Like that filters down through the company in terms of being passionate about the actual events being put on, like the esports around their own games. You don't really see that.
They were all here for the first night.
I'm sure they were. Yeah.
Like there's like a box room basically where it's like there's like a little wet bar and stuff like that. And so the arena sold out. And then they had I saw Mike Morhaime, I saw a few others, all in that room watching. Like they were all here for the first night.
I remember
then the entire dev team was here
the next day. Right?
The next day, they were all like the entire dev team for Overwatch. They were all here, wanting to see it in person, wanting to get a feel for it, all that sort of stuff to make it real, I guess. And so, they're really involved.
Yeah, I remember. Early on in the StarCraft days, I had a conversation with Morhaime about some stuff, and he ever said, like, if you ever need anything or you want to talk about, like, Blizzard culture, just shoot me an email. And, like, 2 or 3 years later, I shot him an email about something that occurred that I'm not going to talk about, but he responded, and, like, the next day, I'm sitting there with the senior VP of global strategy having a conversation. I'm like, why the fuck are you talking to me? Like, we have no, you have no, was it just because Morhaime was like, hey, go talk to this asshole? Or was it, do you literally care? Like, no, we care. So like that is always kind of set a precedent for me in terms of Blizzard. Cause I can't go and do that. I can't go talk to someone at Square Enix and be like, hey, can I talk to your CEO for a moment? At Blizzard, they're like, no, we can actually, let's have a conversation. Like, it's kind of cool to have.
That's already something that I'm noticing that's, everybody gets a say here in a way, right? Like everybody, if you have a thought, they're really hungry to get, your thoughts, but everybody can have a say. Everybody has input. It's a bit of a different beast from I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's just totally different in CSGO, where the devs, they show up to majors. They don't show up to any other events, right? They show up to majors because they set up all of the LAN clients and everything like that for the majors, and then they're always there to field questions.
Yeah.
The main thing though is just that the Valve culture makes it so that they don't really they'll have conversations with you and they'll take feedback, but 90% of the time they're just going to do what they were going to do anyway, right? And so a lot of people got disillusioned with that, and you just kind of have to accept that that's just the way it is. That the Valve devs, they see it one way. Maybe your passion project baby for you, but for them it's just like they need to make money off the game that they're putting their time into to justify getting a paycheck from Valve, the most profitable corporation in the United States, via how many employees they have working there. So everybody's got to be doing something to make some skrill for a big Daddy Gabe.
Yeah.
So I mean, there you go. It's a bit of a different beast.
It is, yeah. Were there any, I'm always interested in the stuff, and maybe you can't talk about it, maybe you don't want to, blah, 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 but
Hit me.
Were there fires that had to be put out in the middle of the broadcast? And if so,
no,
there weren't. It was smooth. It was
as smooth as silk. Like it was.
How much actual rehearsal was there? Because there's probably TV trucks and everything there.
No. This whole studio.
Oh, it's all in-house?
Yeah, Blizzard aren't fucking around.
That makes
man.
sense.
This place is nuts. Like I walked in here the first time when I first I was here for Contenders, I believe, and because I just happened to be visiting my family, and that's when Blizzard approached me to like, hey, and so excuse me, and this whole place, like they tore out the entire building and rebuilt the entire thing into like a state-of-the-art studio complex plus office building plus all of the practice rooms for the players. All of the teams each have their individual practice room that they can get into that is only like they can only get into if they have their key card. So nobody else can get into those rooms.
Jeez.
And so it's just like they built a facility here for the whole thing. Like everything is run out of their studio here in Blizzard.
Yeah.
In the arena. It's impressive when you show up. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a totally different beast. And I've worked with E-League, where obviously you're working out of the TBS studios in Atlanta,
right?
And those don't fuck around. I mean, you've got like Charles Barkley walking around the corner, and down the hall, like it's nothing, no big deal. It's a totally different place, and Blizzard are up to that standard here. They aren't messing around. Like this place is serious business.
That's good to hear. They put in the money for that for sure.
Oh, it's remarkable. But it just gets you so goddamn hyped too. You're like, okay, cool. Like this is pro shit. Like, all right, time to put on the game face. Let's go.
Yeah. You didn't cast us. Well, no, Zeke, go ahead by all means. I've been asking.
No, I just wanted to, for those who don't know, like, how did you get the Overwatch gig? Did they ask you, or were you just like fucking hungry for it and you wanted it? Like, how did that work out?
I was in a frame of mind at the time. I was very much in a frame of mind like I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and I'm going to kind of give up because I'd spent so long trying to control every little detail around me, and for the past 5 years, right? I was in a position of power in the CSGO scene, and I didn't abuse that power, but I definitely took advantage of that power to try and just keep tabs on everything and keep control of everything around me, and personally my life as well, trying to just keep control on things. And so when I like at the end of last year, I lost a couple of people who were very close to me, and that kind of like ramped up that control because when people pass, that's when you really realize what a joke it is to think you have control over anything, because it could all be over like that. And in their case, it was over like that. There's just accidents, freaked. So I mean, so then I just started to have like more and more and more control, and then and so then I that was at that point where I'd finally tipped over, and I'm like, I'm not going to have any control anymore. I'm just going to completely let things flow. And so I wasn't looking for anything. I was doing E-League, and that was really just because it was going to be like my last hurrah kind of thing, where I'm just going to do E-League and have fun with it. And then I went to Los Angeles to visit my family for a week, because if I'm on the continent, I absolutely have to be there. My mom will kill me if I don't find a way to get over to Los Angeles at some point. So I was just visiting my family, and that's when Blizzard reached out, and they were just like, "Hey, are you interested?" And so I think just kind of letting go and just letting things flow, it all kind of just it kind of just came together in the perfect way, because at that point I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was very interested in Overwatch League, because I was just like, holy shit, this is the biggest thing to go down in esports, ever, pretty much. And it's with a game that I like. Like, I'm going to be watching it no matter what. So when they reached out, I was just like, pinch me. It was one of those moments where you're just like, is this real life? Is everything,
Well, that's kind of like it's kind of like the dream, I think, for a lot of broadcasters, or a lot of casters in general. Not Twitch casters, but esports casters. Like, when you get a gig that is a guaranteed check over a long period of time, it's kind of the golden goose, right? Because when you do a lot of these events,
especially if you're a contractor for a long period of time,
exactly, yeah,
or if you're self-employed for a very long time, in which case you grow used to the game, with the game within the game, of just having to stay one ahead of, like I was saying earlier, you have to stay one ahead of the opposition, or the opponents, the enemies, or your co-commentators, however you want to see them.
Yeah.
You got to stay ahead of everybody. And
it's the truth, man. I mean, that's the game for sure.
This is why it's so unhealthy, and it's good and it's bad, how it works, because you spend so much time with people and you try to be friends with people, but there's always going to be that little niggling thing in the back of your head where but I'm competing for this job with this person.
Right.
And so, you're friends, but at the same time, when it comes to negotiation day, is this motherfucker going to undercut me and take the job that I want? And so
there's a lot of that goes on.
Weird.
You guys, it might just sound like Semmler's kind of like hyping up the drum, but that happens a lot. Like, people will take pay cuts just to do the event.
Well, it's not like Twitch, man. It's not like like you can broadcast. You're always going to be on camera if you want to be. Whereas there's only so many slots available, and you've got to fucking be good enough and fight for that shit. I understand that.
Mm-hmm. Dude, and Zeke just, again, second time today, just took the words right out of my mouth. It's a crazy different situation, because like on Twitch, you get to a point where if you're successful enough, you look around and you just kind of see the other casters on your level, and kind of, we're all successful. We're all living comfortably. We don't really need to have this cutthroat, I have to do better than this guy. I have to do better than this guy. Now, granted, when you're leveling up your stream, when you're growing and you're trying to pay your bills, that's a little bit different. That's different. But there's certainly get to a point where it's just kind of like the stress of that lifts off.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think, Semmler, that in your position, the more successful and popular you get, it's almost an opposite telescope effect, where it's like it almost becomes more stressful. Like, you have to keep securing those big rigs. You have to keep getting those really good positions. That's crazy, man. Do you ever feel like you're going to get to a point where you're not going to feel that way, where you're just going to be so well known, or people are just going to be throwing offers at you to where you won't have to worry about it?
No, it doesn't work that way, because the TOs don't want to let you get that big either. If you are freelance, and I've had this conversation with TOs, where they are just like, we will never let you get that strong. We will never let you get that powerful where you can dictate the terms.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, fair enough. I know where I am now.
And the reason for that is because it happened before. They will never let it happen again, because they've seen what it looks like.
Another tasteosis happen. And so that's it, because tasteosis, man, business class flights, like those guys were living the dream.
Yeah.
They were living the dream, and I mean, they still are technically. So I mean, like they really pushed it to the pinnacle. Anders and I, like, we managed to push it pretty high, and all the CSGO commentators are benefiting from that, because we led the way. And so when it came to taking those fights with the TOs, Anders and I were on the point of it. We were the ones who were pushing really hard and taking those fights and having those uncomfortable conversations where the TOs are basically spitting on you, saying like, go fuck yourself. And then I'm like, well, go fuck yourself back, because you need us to cast your game, So it's a fun thing, man. But like, that's where if you push, then the others follow and they benefit. And so that's one thing that I can be proud of, at least out of all of this, and like the CSGO and what we were able to do, is everybody was always just like, oh, it's super self-centered, It's like, yes, but then also, through our actions, we also managed to actually help a lot of other people too.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, because you can be sure that those guys wouldn't be getting paid what they're getting paid now if Anders and I didn't take those fights and didn't try and push really hard. So it's cool. I mean, that being said, if I'm ever going to get to that point of comfort, I think if you are in broadcasting, you are replaceable. So that's just one thing you need to like make peace with.
Yeah.
Is that you can just be replaced, because it's not like you guys. You guys are the true, like, Duncan. This is why Thorin, to me, has always had the rock solid position in esports commentary, is because he has made himself completely invulnerable to the TOs. He has his YouTube channel on which he makes mad skrill, and he just has his community that he's built up over years of hard work. And so that community isn't going to go anywhere. They're going to stick with him because they want to hear what he has to say. Yep. It's not based on a game or like action, like the way commentary is, where the real stars are the players and the real star is the game, and then you're just like this voice. But those voices can be interchangeable. It's not the same way when you are creating content, or like you guys streaming content. People are there to watch you stream and listen to you, and right, because they care about you as much as the game, or they care about you more than the game. Right, the game is just something there that facilitates them hanging with you. It's not like that in commentary, where the players in the game are the stars, and you can just be swapped out. And so I think now what I have with Blizzard is probably like the most security you can get in this sort of situation, barring getting up to Tastosis level, where you literally live on an island and control everything on that island. So
real quick, for us esport layman's, you mentioned that earlier too. What is the tastosis thing? And
tasteless and artosis.
This is such a weird conversation for me, Semmler, because my two worlds are finally happened where they're merging.
It's all coming together, JP. It's all coming together.
It's so weird.
We're gonna bring it all together. But you're
it's
right.
Like your divorced parents are getting married again.
Yeah. Pretty much, man. It's so weird. Go ahead, Semmler.
JP, honey, let's give it another go for the kids.
Jesus.
No, I want 2 Christmases.
Tastosis.
Really dark.
Tastosis.
Anyway, yeah. So who are these guys? And apparently they had like a lockdown on this for a while. How did that happen?
They were the best. Yeah. They set the tone.
Yeah, Tastosis is tasteless, Day 9's brother, and Artosis, who are they moved to South Korea a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a team or something. I should know who those guys are.
That's the name.
That makes a lot of sense.
They're the quote casting archon, Tastosis.
Gotcha.
That's their brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was their brand. That's what they were clever, man.
Oh yeah, no, it's super smart.
I took a lot of pages out of their playbook and said, all right, that's a smart way of doing things.
It's super smart, right? To have like a casting person that you're always with. You come as a set package, and you can kind of dictate the terms together. That way, you don't pit each other against. You don't pit yourself against your kind of someone that you should be casting with all the time, right? And I think that's kind of also shaped esports. And you can even look in the Overwatch League. You guys have casting partners, and as far as I know, those aren't going to mingle. Like, you can comment on that.
They may in the future. Okay. I don't know what the given like, for example, this week I'll be hosting a day, and so but then I think Hex, that'll be a day off for Hex basically, because we'll have already casted 2 days. But like if certain situations change, then we might, like, if something comes up, right, then we might shift things around, or we might just start shifting things around just to fuck around as well.
Sure.
I mean, it's going to be a long league. There are going to be a lot of games. There's a lot of chance to maybe where we will just need to spice things up and be like, hey, you know what? Let's just cast with each other and see how that goes. And just try something different.
Whoever it was, it might have been Chris.
To your point, it is like we do have duos, right? Because that is the model.
Yeah. Whoever it was, and it might have been Chris Puckett, but whoever idea it was to bring in the commentators that they got, they kind of pulled a broadcaster from pretty much like every major esport out there, and kind of tried to take their role in that community and bring them over. If you look at like Doa and Monte Cristo from League of Legends, or at least primarily known for League of Legends, have casted other stuff, of course, but they're kind of coming in with their league crew. We look at a lot of the other guys kind of having Call of Duty in there, bringing in their audience. You obviously have the CSGO audience. It's an interesting take that whoever decided to do all that did it for that reason. You can kind of see that they're trying to pull in other audiences, or at least bring their audiences with them, which was
that actually brings up a question I had. What did you have to learn Overwatch, or did you already know it? Did you have to like study up and like do all that stuff, or was that just like you already knew it and it was just like second nature going to do this?
I already knew it. to an extent because I've played it since the game launched. So I already had a familiarity with the game. When it came to, let's see. So 2016, when I did E-League, I studied a lot, but that was mainly on just meta. And I think that's the main thing. You just really need to study meta and know where you are on meta. But given the fact that this meta right now is pretty much dictated by Mercy and Dive, it wasn't really necessary for me to go and study really hard on what meta was. So what I focused on in preparation for Overwatch League was more learning ability names, learning the mechanics around abilities, and so that's like their cooldowns, how much damage they do, like what's the impact? Okay, how long does it take to charge Coalescence? How long does it take to charge Biotic Grasp? Again, if you run out of healing, 9 seconds if you're dealing damage, right? So I mean, like, it's stuff like that I try to prepare so that when I casted it, it would just come naturally. I would know the name. What's interesting is like I know the ability names fairly well, but I hesitate still sometimes when I try to talk about a character. Like I'll hesitate, like I'll run down a roster and be like, so they're running Widowmaker, they're running Soldier 76, they're running Winston. That's right, Winston. Like I'm blocking on character names, so that's a weird thing.
I gotta ask: is Blizzard dictating that you guys are like staying on brand? Like, can you call Winston Monkey?
Yeah, we can call him Monkey. It's just like, God forbid if you call him Harambe.
Oh yeah, I guess that's another one.
You will burn if they catch you saying that on a broadcast. You're going to be in pretty deep. At least that's like the one thing. Actually, it's funny. That's the one thing that I've heard where there's like, do not say that.
I guess,
dude, that's like when you're talking about like competing with other hosts, like just put that in the other guy's head. Be like, just
right before you go live, don't say Harambe.
Don't do it.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League. We're gonna watch San Francisco Shock here. What do you think about Winston? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That'd be dirty.
I mean,
that'd be dirty.
Yeah, that would be a good way. That'd be a good way. I don't think it'd be career ending, but they would be pleased about it. There has been some feedback in terms of, but I think they were more concerned with just, does he know the right way to say it, or is he just coming up with a different way of saying it for the sake of that, or like because he lacks the knowledge?
Yeah.
But I think I've shown that I have the knowledge as far as how all the mechanics work and how everything works now. So I haven't heard any negative feedback since. I think the main thing is just going to be, well, coming into it, Hex and I was just very confident. Once I knew the ability names, once I knew all of that, I was just going to kind of just let anything, like it all just kind of happened naturally, the commentary. Yeah. And with Hex, I had total faith in Hex as well because he was pretty much the man I wanted to work with. I was just like, I want to work with Hex. Perfect. We're good. Because when we met, I felt like, there was a good click there, which is key because Anders and I had that too. When the first time we met, we had a 4-hour conversation that involved hallucinating on mushrooms and all sorts of other stuff. And I was like, cool, we can be friends,
Nice.
So kind of had a similar thing with Hex going. So I was like, cool. I don't think that we're going to have any trouble on the banter side of things. And then when it came to the commentary, we did one practice game the night before, Dallas Fuel versus Seoul. Where we and that was more just like we kind of practiced a little bit, but it was more like, how would you want to do this sort of situation? Okay, cool. And then keep casting. Okay, like what about this? But we literally just did one game because all I wanted it to do was just be natural, like just be flow naturally and worry about it later, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel like it worked out. I had very little, I wasn't nervous. Let's put it that way. I wasn't nervous going into it, really. I was more excited, like really, really excited to just start something new.
One of the questions that I asked chat what they want to know, and I got this question like 3 or 4 times, and I'm sure you've gotten a million times. But what is the biggest differences you see between Overwatch and CSGO?
Is it game or
pace? Yeah, pace.
Yeah, the game. Yeah.
In terms of gameplay, it's pace. It's just that there's very like in CSGO, it's like a heartbeat. Like it goes up and then it comes back and it goes up and it comes back and it's a very regular rhythmic thing, right? I guess I don't know. I mean, unless you're watching like Aliens or something and shit's popping out of people's chests, maybe your heart is just going to go like that. But okay, we're not going to get too deep into it.
Sure.
There's a rhythm there, and so that's that. You kind of it kind of shapes how you commentate, obviously, because the action is coming at this point because I know the strategy, or I just know that there's going to be a point here, whatever. So you start ramping up naturally, and then you come back down again because you have the buy period, the freeze time, all that sort of stuff, right? And so Overwatch is, especially with dive, it feels much like more intense in terms of like there is just a lot of action going on almost at all times. The lulls are there, but they're much shorter. You know, it's like, oh, okay, they just need a reset. Okay, we have 10 seconds, 15 seconds to talk before action is going to pick up again, right? And then it's action for a minute straight because they just can't seem to kill that goddamn tracer who's stalling out the point, you know? Like, it's a tough, it's a totally different beast in terms of just the pace. But at the same time, that's what I started out with, which is fun. That's why I felt like I came back into my own with Overwatch, because Bloodline Champions was the same thing. Bloodline Champions was 3-minute rounds, and in those 3 minutes, action didn't stop. It was straight up carnage the entire time, and so you're just getting hyped, loving it, excited, jokes, everything. You know, you're at this really high burn rate, this high pace, and so I feel like Overwatch is kind of coming back to that for me, back to my roots a little bit, where I just get to just go ham a lot. I just need to remember how to do that. I've done CS for 5 years, and I've trained myself to think like this, you know, in this model. And so it's more like breaking that habit and really trying to just open up for Overwatch League and just go fucking ham again. That's my main challenge.
I gotta imagine that it's so much more fun to do something that is just high action all the time, and then your lull is between rounds or between games, like where you're just like, are you one of those types that gets up and like that kind of stuff, or are you keep
absolutely.
It? Okay.
No. I've broken chairs at events. I've torn my pants at events. Like I've just, jumping up, shouting. Like I think that's why I can do what I do when it comes to commentary, is because whenever I see something really cool go down, I just get hyped for that person or hyped for that thing. Doesn't even matter. It doesn't even have to be gaming. I'll be at the climbing gym and then I'll see some guy fucking bust out this sick move on a wall and just barely hang on. And I'm just shouting at him like, yeah, just because it's like I see something cool and that I just vocalize it, right? And so when it comes to commentary, I just get really excited when I see, big plays happen. It's just can't hold it in, So, and that's good. Like that's how it should be, right? It feels like I'm kind of feeling human again, or feeling normal again, because it is coming naturally. I don't have to force it with Overwatch at all. Like when I get hype, it's because I'm fucking excited about what's happening on that screen.
Yeah. Now I was too worried about Zeke not.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were gonna say something. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah, it's not. There's lag time on this program between me and Zeke, so it's not him cutting me off. It's just him talking and me talking at the same time, and he just goes. It looks like he's cutting me off. Anyways,
fucking Zeke.
Yeah, fucking Zeke, man. Jesus Christ.
Musico. Oh.
No.
Oh, you're making it fucking funny.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
It's making it funny.
Yeah, let's make it funny.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you guys get to choose your matches, or you just have a set schedule that you're going to cast X day of this week and X day of this week, and slot 1 and slot 3, like, or are you choosing your matches?
We don't want to choose matches because that could lead to friction, amongst commentators when it's like, hey, I'm just gonna do Dallas versus Houston, and don't mind if I take Seoul as well.
To be honest, when I tuned
that might
in,
not go over well with your commentary buddies.
Yeah.
Oh, and you get to cast Florida versus Shanghai. Have fun with that, mate.
When I tuned in, typically what happens with esports events, at least most esports events, I haven't been in the game for a while, so I'm not sure exactly if it still happens this way, but you kind of go into an event and you know who's going to cast the finals. Casting the finals is kind of like getting the cake at the end of the day, right? It's the big thing. It's the most important thing. You're going to get the most views out there. So many more people are going to see your face on the finals, et cetera, et cetera. So when I saw the first day that Doa and Monte Cristo casted twice, I was like, okay, that's who they're going to go with. That's going to be their big, the big combo or the big duo for this league. And then once I started to realize, oh no, they're casting, like, you guys didn't reveal that, I think, until the next day, where you guys actually have slots and everyone's casting the same amount of time each week. I thought that was kind of interesting to see, because someone's probably going to get the finals still at the end of the league, but at least for now,
it's 90% going to be Doa and Monty.
You think that's only right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's only right. They were the ones who took the risk.
Apex. Yeah.
Yeah, they took the risk. They picked their lives up and came, back to America from South Korea. Nobody wants to be here in America. Let's be straight. If you have the chance to be anywhere else, you would take it, right? So they took that hit, moved back to the States, and they've paid their dues. And so, myself, Yeah, totally. It's got to be Doa. It's got to be Doa and Monty.
Okay.
And so, but it's fun that you say that because in CSGO for the longest time, TOs, they wouldn't tell us who were doing the finals. They would leave it up as like some mystery decision thing.
Really?
And that was, yeah, I always felt like that put undue tension into the group as well, because then it's like you think it's going to be a competition, but really it isn't. They already know who they're going to have at those finals, you know?
In StarCraft,
I never understood that.
In StarCraft, at least for the MLG, where I had input on who's going to cast finals, we would go into the event, and it was pretty much like Nick and Dan almost all the time.
Yeah.
It's just kind of what it was. Tasteosis, again, to use their coin term, it's just they get the finals. That's just how it is. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad to see that's kind of somewhat changing a little bit, but at least, I don't know. It's a weird thing because, like, I think when you compare it to normal sports, which is always the worst thing to do, normal sports have, like, I can't think of how many like maybe 10 across all the different sports in the US for like the national level. There's probably 8, 10 off the top of my head that I know. You go to esports and there's like how many broadcasters alone for CS? There's 20, 30, at least kind of
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. At the biggest level. So it's a weird thing. And then you look at, what you guys are doing with the Overwatch League. There's 8 teams,
12 of us here,
or 12 casters, but in terms of casting the game and not analysts, there's
3 pairs.
3 pairs. Okay.
So 6 casters.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's kind of cool.
Oh no, it's dope, man. This is as good as it gets if you were a freelance commentator. Being able to work for a company like Blizzard, being able to be here as a part of a league, have some of that stability. I mean, yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Talking about the actual league itself and the teams, is it as weird for you as it is for me seeing Huck working for the fucking goddamn
Papa Huck, man,
president of gaming? Oh man, that's a weird thing. For those that don't know, Huck was
idea from Karn.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes
Karn
sense.
Is the president of gaming at Fnatic.
Yeah.
So
for those that don't know,
if he got that there,
Huck was a StarCraft 2 player back in the day, and a pretty good one, at least in terms of the foreigner world. And now he's the president of gaming for I'm blanking on the name, not the Boston
Uprising.
Yeah, a team which is owned by the same guy that owns Robert Kraft, I think is his name. Same guy that owns the Patriots. And like Huck has been in the same room and probably spoken with Mr. Kraft one-on-one before, and that's just a fucking weird thing to think about. That Huck, of all the guys,
dude, it looks like it's working. Whatever he had planned for that team, it looks like it's working, because I mean they're showing a bit more than what we expected. I think. I mean, you weren't quite sure how his approach was going to work, because apparently he went with very inexperienced players, kind of unproven, and he wanted to mold them into use his model.
Which is funny because, Huck wasn't a very coachable guy when he played at StarCraft. He was kind of his own person.
Maybe he's gotten humble or something over the years, JP. Maybe, people change.
I guess.
People change.
Yeah. He's probably watching this and cursing me right now. But yeah, the rest of the league, what do you think? Like, is Dynasty just kind of the shoe-in for finals? Then it's kind of up to the other teams?
Dynasty are so freaking good. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, and that's fine, because you're going to want to tune in to watch them either stomp their opponents into the ground or witness a huge upset. I do think that it's Korean top heavy in terms of the league, in terms of skill. Do
you think that's going to change?
Yeah, it could change, because teams are just going to get more comfortable, and you're going to have to figure out really quickly, in this current meta, right? Like, you need a good tracer. And so teams that have that are probably going to stand out a little bit more than others, unless they have like really just impressive specialists or guys who can kind of take over in their own way, like Taimu for Fuel, where he can just kind of play everything. And so you never really know what Fuel are going to throw at you, because him in effect, right? They've got the tracer in effect, and then they've got Taimu who's going to, wreck you some other way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm really impressed with Valiant. I think Soon is a beast. Silk Thread as well. I mean, Valiant are, I think, in terms of teams that can take it to the Koreans in a meaningful way, I think Valiant right now are very well placed, along with Fuel. Both of them can show up and actually be a threat to these Korean teams. As far as the other ones are concerned, I think like Boston Uprising maybe could make some magic happen, right? I'm very excited to see more Philadelphia Fusion. I think they're a fun one. Houston Outlaws as well. So I mean, like, you can't just go into a league and say everybody is equal. We did the best we could to have everything equal. It's just like, no, that's not how it works. You're going to have teams at the top and you're going to have teams at the bottom. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's how you want to see the story develop, right? Because then if that team at the top loses to a team at the bottom somehow, or even a team in the middle, boom, upset story. Okay, cool.
Dude, that's real sports. That's why
that's real sports.
Watch football, and that's why people watch basketball. And now that it's here, it's like you guys are giving an actual thing for these people to grasp onto, where it's like, hey, I don't normally watch video games, but I do watch a lot of sports, and this is pretty cool because they're doing a lot of things I'm used to and I feel comfortable watching. That's one of the things. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited about this. I don't watch sports. I don't really do a lot of esports, but I am thrilled to see like this hybrid come together and kind of fuse these two very large, very deep groups together. It's going to be cool, man. It's going to be real cool. It's already cool. Like the first day was awesome. Yeah. I actually tuned in for a little bit. I don't even watch esports a lot, and there was a lot of really cool stuff there that I'd never seen before on this. So yeah,
sick.
I mean, it's a good time.
It's a little weird.
It just seems like some of the teams got shafted on either the team name or the fucking logo. Like, I mean, the Seoul Dynasty is obviously the best logo. Like, no question. They got the fucking best logo.
Dude, London Spitfire, man. I think London Spitfire logo is
good too. That's like second place, but it's a distant second.
I don't know what New York was thinking.
First skin I bought was the Soul. Like, I had to have that gold. The gold and black trace.
Yeah,
guns.
I got Soul as well. I got the gold and black Junkrat. That's exactly what I bought right off the bat. I think that's...
And obviously because I have to play Mercy because nobody else wants to play Mercy in matchmaking, I went ahead and got the Soul Mercy skin as well, just because.
It was the weirdest thing last week, playing Overwatch on Thursday. And granted, I've played, StarCraft, I cast StarCraft. I usually play a lot of the games that are esports, Counter-Strike, whatever. And I loaded into an Overwatch game at I think it was 3,300 SR. And everyone, the other 5 people on my team, everyone was talking about the Overwatch League. They were talking about the team that they wanted to win the game that was coming up later that day. They were all wearing their different things. And this is at a pretty middling SR. And so the fact that it's like that, Blizzard has done such a good job ingraining it in just general Overwatch culture to begin with is kind of fucking astounding. I haven't ever had that happen in anything else.
It's never been built into the game client this way. Look at that. That's what the devs when I get excited about, having the devs involved, it's just because they're going to be able to do cool shit like that all day. There is literally the schedule for the games and where you can click on the teams and, get the skins, and they've built that into the client.
Yeah.
They've got more coming. It's so sick. That's a totally different beast. It's something that we've never seen before in esports as far as I'm concerned. And so it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see how this develops.
Yeah,
for sure. And
now, I know you're not. I know you're not on the business side of not on the business side of things. You're a hired gun.
I can always speculate.
Yeah, no, I want to speculate with you. Where do you think? I mean, how are they going to pay for this? I guess it's just let me just lay it out. How do they pay for what it's cost?
Already, what it's cost? You mean?
Yeah.
Well,
the franchising, I guess, right? They have been pretty public about how much money it costs to actually buy a team.
Each team was 20 million in
Overwatch.
So,
So, I mean, that's probably going to do a pretty good job of helping out. You do have some of the wealthiest people on the planet who are backing it as well personally. I mean, like the CEO of Activision Blizzard, Bobby Kotick. I mean, there are some people who are just going to be like, oh, it needs money. Well, here. What to me is pocket change is to you a lot. So here, just take, right? I don't know. I don't know how they figure out the model because it's interesting for me just because I went through the E-League where E-League started off really big as well. Fuck's sake, we had a moving desk, thing rolled its way out and turned. I was still
for those
the
that don't know,
thing.
Those desks are
I want a moving desk.
For those that don't know, those desks cost $20,000 to $100,000 depending on the desk. They're not cheap. So when he says that, it's actually in real excitement. They're very expensive.
Yeah. They are expensive as fuck, and that's why the desk doesn't move anymore.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this? It's you start out with big things, and then but if you don't have like the business model behind it to keep pushing, well then you will start to kind of cut away a little bit, cut away until E-League is what it is now, which isn't what it was to begin with, and it hasn't really pushed past what it began with either. And I think that's because people probably came in with either the wrong expectations or the wrong idea of what was possible, perhaps. But yeah, E-League I don't know what they're gonna do, right? Because that's a case where I'm not sure about the business model. But when I look at Overwatch, right, they've got people who are very powerful and wealthy who are on board with it and who are now directly involved in it, owning teams and really caring about the outcome of this league. They're able apparently to pick up massive mainstream sponsors, like what is it, Toyota or Honda? One of the car brands is like sponsoring it. And those guys don't mess around.
Toyota sponsoring Jack in the Box is on the chest of Dallas Fuels.
Jack in the Box, yeah, on the chest, exactly. I mean, like if you start to get these non-endemic brands involved, that's going to pique the interest of the other ones who aren't a part of it, and they're going to start wondering like, hey, is this something I need to be a part of too? And that puts Overwatch League in a good place, right? And then it all depends on how you're selling it to the sponsors as well. If you're promising them the moon and you're giving them a round of cheese, well then that might be an issue that comes back to burn you, right? Where they're like, but I paid for the moon. Like why don't I have the moon? But and you're just like, oh, but look, it has a moon sticker on it, so technically, like, no, that's not good. So you need to figure out, like, if you're, I'm just speculating, right? But like on the business side of things, if they have like approached the sponsors smartly and said, these are our estimations, this is our battle plan, this is our marketing plan, this is how we plan to grow this. But if you want to get in, like, this is what we can do, and they've done that right. I mean, this first week, if it's any indicator of the interest that's here for the league, all those sponsors must be kind of giving themselves a pat on the back right now, thinking, okay, maybe we did make the right call here.
Yeah, we were first in,
maybe Nate and
we're going to pay for it
a little bit better at night as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because that actually goes back to exactly what we were talking about earlier, how it's now that people are seeing it make money. We have the mid-tier and even some high-tier sponsors coming in, and that's just going to be like a hook, a worm on a hook for all these really big sponsors and the cable organizations. I mean, like I've been saying with Twitch for years, it's only a matter of time until someone looks at this and be like, could I put this on television? Would this make me money if I put this on my cable channel? And it's kind of like, that's when it's all the snowball rolling down the hill. So it's been great.
That it's on the Disney Channel.
Really?
Like, I've heard that Heroes is on the Disney Channel.
Really?
Or like there's like one of these nighttime Disney channels that goes on, and like I've heard that Heroes of the Storm has been on there, and that they've got Overwatch contenders matches being played on there.
Yeah.
And so it's like they are starting to grow it in that direction. And so it's like, if you want to do like the business model, I guess I don't necessarily. It's like not going to be this year where you're filling out stadiums, right? Where you're selling out the way that League of Legends Worlds does, right? Where you're filling a 40,000 seat stadium. I don't think it's going to happen this year. But if you continue to grow it. 40,000. All right, hold on. Let's slow down a little bit here.
I don't know. You got to think that there's probably bleed over between those two audiences. You're also probably going to have that event in Southern California. It just depends, honestly. I don't know. It depends on how the rest of the league goes, I guess. That might maybe I'm kind of thinking too big of it.
Fair enough.
But yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to keep my hopes down here, right?
We'll see.
A little bit reasonable about it. But
we'll see.
I'm surprised they haven't made like a fucking esports channel, like just 24 hours of esports. They got fucking golf. They got the golf channel.
Well, the reason they have that is because
ESPN esports. They've got like 3 different ESPNs, and they have ESPNs devoted to channel like specific sports. Just ESPN esports, boom, and you'd have your own channel.
Because there's enough major sports brands are scared of getting too close to esports because they get heat every time they do.
Yeah, there's that. There's also the fact that the audience that cares about esports doesn't watch TV. There's
it's also the fact that it's super hard to sell CS.
Yeah.
Like, what are your big games that are gonna get you traffic right now? It's like LoL, apparently Overwatch, Dota 2, and Counter-Strike. Except that nobody wants to touch Counter-Strike with a 10-foot pole because it's literally counter-terrorists, fighting terrorists. You may be on the terrorists, and why are we cheering for the terrorists? And you see where I'm going with this?
It's just the names they needed. It's just semantics, man.
It is, but you can't change that, right? Because it's ingrained in the fucking culture of the game.
Coca-Cola,
Yeah. Be like, we're going to change it to, let's do Pirates and Ninjas. We're going to have the Pirates and the Ninjas, okay? Fuck the whole, yeah. Can you imagine?
I'm just imagining, and obviously the Ninjas have AKs.
I'm just imagining some old dude like flipping channels, and then he stops on one and goes, terrorists win. And he's like, freaks the fuck out, has a heart attack.
Yeah, the Fox,
I get it. Okay,
Fox
I get
News
it.
viewer just couldn't watch that. They just be like, nope, get this. I'm done. Get this off my fucking
man. All the TOs and across all the games right now are trying to figure out how to sell the rights. You know, to sell the viewership rights, because that's obviously where big sports make their money.
Yeah.
Selling rights to these broadcasting, where it's like billions of euros get spent for the Premier League football, right? Soccer.
Yeah.
You know, like every year in Europe, it's unbelievable how much money gets spent on rights. And so that's obviously the end goal that all these TOs are trying to aim towards, is like, how do we get, you know, either the platforms that we have today, YouTube, Twitch, or start expanding into TV, ESPN, you know, TBS, all these others. How do we get them to spend that kind of money for our content, right? And so it'll be that, selling the rights. It'll be, you know, merchandise. That's also a pretty big deal. I mean, you've got it in game and out of game in Overwatch.
Yeah.
So man, imagine
we didn't bring that up.
Skins aren't cheap in game.
We didn't bring that up last week. I kind of want to see what Coz and Zeke's, because I don't know if you guys are even aware of this, but in game you can buy character skins that match the skins of the teams. Each skin is $5 per hero.
But that's why I asked about the money. Like, are they going to get it back from skins? Are they going to get it back from just ad revenue? Are they going to get it back, like the people who have purchased these teams? Like, how are they going to get their money back?
Time out. So you're talking about in Overwatch, right?
In Overwatch, yeah.
I can go into Overwatch, and for $5 per skin
per hero,
I can get per hero
per skin.
Yeah.
Okay, and then wow,
it's expensive.
How many of these are there?
There's 12 teams.
120 something.
Yeah, there's a lot. If you want to buy every single one.
There's 120 skins available for $5 a piece, and they're all unique.
Yep. And they all look, well, sorry, Boston, but I don't like your color scheme. But most of them look fucking fire.
Let me just load up Overwatch. I'll show you
Spitfire skins. Woo!
Wow.
I'll show you.
Wow.
That's
I feel bad for any of those people that are like, I'm gonna have every Overwatch skin.
They're expensive, man. Like, that's what I was saying last week. They're fucking pricey. $5.
Can you get them in loot boxes?
No.
No, not right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do that in the future.
I would imagine not.
Well, yeah, but
so this is what it looks like.
Loot boxes you can still
get very cool. Thanks.
So this is, they actually have an entire tab now in game called the Overwatch League. You click that.
Yeah.
You can choose your teams here. So say if you want to, say you like the purple for the Los Angeles Gladiators, you can see every single hero here has their own LA Gladiator skin, just like the team does when you watch. So say you're a huge fan of the Junkrat on LA Gladiators, you can buy that skin.
So here's a question. If I look at this Junkrat and then I go to all the other Junkrats in different Overwatch League skins, are they all this skin with different colors?
Yes. They're color reskins, exactly. So
basically, you're paying $5 for colors.
Yes, here's the Junkrat. Yeah. Well, he's got fucking black there too.
Green.
It's
like buying a team jersey. You're just buying a team jersey basically for $5.
Makes sense.
Because that's actually when I was buying my skins. That's what I was thinking. I'm a big fan of Unko and Soon on Valiant, so I went and bought the Zenyatta and the Tracer skins. You know, and so I wear those now because, like, hey, I like Soon, good guy. Pine for New York Excelsior. I got the McCree skin for him. Because I'm just thinking, like, holy shit, that game on Ilios, you know?
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say about this is whoever thought of this idea should definitely get a promotion at Blizzard. This is one of the, like, I can only imagine. I would love to see the data on how many skins that have been sold. Because you realize this is basically make one basic skin for each character, make colors for each team on one basic skin, make a very brief interface on buying them, and then let the money roll in. Essentially, that's brilliant.
Well, the other thing too is
just named the free-to-play model. Blizzard are masters. Blizzard are fucking masters at it.
I have to admit, dude, if I had liked a specific character on a specific team and I wanted that skin, like, that's kind of cool that I can go buy it. And you know, of course, no one has to, and they're just cosmetics at the end of the day. So, man,
and you get one free, by the way. You get one.
Wow. You get one free. Yeah.
So
you get one free.
You get one free as well.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. So if you are a fan of, like, I got the Soul Tracer skin as well, just because I was like black and gold, got gold Tracer guns, right? So I was like, all right, that's the first skin I got. And that was free. And then it's like, after that, if you want more, you pay. But, like, I like that they give you a little bit, you know, a little bit of the carrot. You know?
free.
Black and gold is obviously the best. It's obviously
They're the best
They
team
got
in the
best
league.
logo.
It's the smartest.
They got the best logo, the best colors. Like, come on, man.
I know. I think we know who Ezekiel's a fan of. You know, when
Yeah,
he's
look
watching-
at those gold fucking shoulders that say Dynasty on it. Tell me that's not red.
Oh, see? Man.
Yeah. Little fucking tiger on his shoulder plate. Yeah. That's pretty good.
I like Roadhogs as well. This is something that they point out. You get the logo on his belly.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
He's got the big tiger there.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's really well thought out when you think about it. It's pretty sick. Like, this is something. This is why I think people are hyped. Like, every matchmaking game I've played so far since it's gone live has had these skins in it. You know, people are just repping.
They're all over the place.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just wow. It's really cool to see. Like, okay, cool. So like you're a Fusion fan or you're a Soul fan or like, oh yeah, that's cool. And it just means that. Yes, I mean that it makes the machine work. It's like stickers for CSGO, right? Remember how that worked out when the devs added team stickers and then they added player signature stickers, right?
Yeah, it got crazy.
Yeah, it got crazy. Shit, yeah, it got crazy. The first time players were making more off of their stickers than they were off of prize money for the goddamn tournament.
Yeah.
Like, if you made it, the deeper you made it, and then because they added the pick'em system into it, the deeper you got into the tournament, the more money you made because more people bought your sticker because you got deeper into the tournament. So they need to get that pick'em challenge in, right? Like,
yeah.
There's plenty of different models, to make the machine work. But Blizzard, I think, are the masters because not only do you pay for the game, then they have free. That it's like you pay for the game, but then you pay more stuff, pay for like more skins and stuff in the game itself as well.
Yep.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, wasn't there was also that post last week. I think it might have been TB saying that before the game was getting ready to go live, they wanted to make it. I got to look up because it was a specific quote, but basically they changed something in terms of the monetization at the very end of the game, or the very end of the beta for Overwatch.
Oh yeah, that they wanted to. Apparently, the devs had to fight the business side because the business side wanted characters to be unlockable.
That's
something like that.
Yeah. Prior to launch,
heard that either.
Prior to launch, Blizzard were seriously considering the money would run out and had to push back against selling characters. They had to actually fight for cosmetic-only boxes with the business folks. Yeah, that was last week.
There you go.
Guys, real quick, I just want to interject here because there's some people that are not fully up to speed on what we're talking about.
Oh.
Just want to make this perfectly clear. Everything we're talking about spending money on right now is cosmetic.
Right.
In this game, what we're talking about are outfits. There's no game. The reason we're saying it's a smart system is because they're basically making money off of cosmetics. There's zero gameplay addition. So there's a little thing going on in my chat right now about people going like, why is this okay when EA does it? It's completely different.
Yeah.
This is cosmetics, and EA is doing gameplay changing things.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about gameplay, that's actually a very thick line between the two.
Yeah.
So just want to make sure that's very clear. Yeah, there's no pay to win in Overwatch at all. It's all cosmetic.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, JP.
No. But that's a very valuable point. That's a distinction that has to be made.
Yeah.
Especially in this current climate with EA.
Yeah.
Kind of poisoning the well for everybody.
Yeah, kind of fucking everyone else over.
I hate that we even have to say that. Like it's
it's kind of gross.
Yeah, anyway,
it's kind of gross.
Well, I mean, LOL BLC. I mean, LOL really figured it out, right? The whole free-to-play model.
For sure.
Just cracked that whole thing. That was. It's not Pandora's box, but it's like, think about it like a world-sized goose just laying world-sized gold eggs. I mean, once those devs figured out where that goose was, they were not going to give up.
Right. That was kind
of
the dawn of a new age of gaming for sure in terms of how to monetize it. Run a little bit over here, but I do have a couple final questions.
Hit me. One
of the things I think that at least I've seen from the people that I follow in esports, granted it's not everyone, but last week when you guys had, the day one viewers and day two and et cetera, all the critics and people from other esports are saying, yeah, but it's day one. What's going to happen day 30? That's the real test, et cetera. Do you think that everyone outside of the Overwatch League is hype? Like what is causing them to be so critical? Is it because they're on the outside looking in? Do you think it's because they want it to fail? Like what is that mindset and why does it happen?
Because you always have to criticize something that's new or something that's daring or bold. You're always going to have naysayers.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's convenient that they move the goalpost as well, right? Because, at first it was like, oh, this is a horrible idea. Oh, it'll fail on day 1. Oh, now it'll fail on day 30. Oh, it still hasn't failed yet. Okay, 6 months is going to be the real test. You can keep pushing that back in infinitely, right?
Right.
And so you know, you've already had a fantastic first week, and if you think that the devs are sleeping on, I mean, obviously everybody's thinking about how to continue to grow it. You know, not be content with just fall, like, because yeah, we hit a crazy peak on the first day, but we've been averaging like 200, 250 ever since, right?
Yeah, depending on
So
who's
it's like if
playing
we can
and
average
whatnot.
that, that's solid. But then it's not a matter of averaging; it's a matter of like getting people to care and getting people interested and showing shit that people want to see.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've already got a great baseline. All of us are super stoked and pumped to just keep doing more. And so I don't think, yeah, I think the real interesting thing is just going to be like, can we push it farther? You know, can we grow it? And some of the ideas that are in the pipeline, you know, sound really appealing to me. Sound interesting.
Yeah.
So, but then you're always going to have haters, dude. You're always going to have people. And yeah, maybe it is because they're on the outside looking in, because you know that a lot of the outspoken people, you know, they probably work in our industry. They probably feel a little bit sad about not being invited to the party. And so what happens when you don't get invited to the party? You're like, ah, fuck that party. Our party over here is better anyway. You know what, man? We got like this better kind of beer, this better kind of game. You know, it's a pure game.
Yeah.
You know, that party over there is shit.
We're
you know, when in reality, you know that they want to be at that party.
I've got DJ Wheat from a show called Live on 3. He's got a question in the chat. He says, I think a good question would
Hey,
be...
Wheat! Wheat isn't fat? Fuck, I haven't seen Wheat in years.
He goes, I think a good question would be similar. What does Blizzard need to do to bring the new audience into Overwatch League? Because isn't that what will ultimately make it successful? If they get the people that don't already play Overwatch, like what do they need to bring you? Or what do you guys need to do to bring them in?
Everybody's got a different take on this.
Yeah, internally, or you mean just in general?
Yeah, no, in general, internally as well.
Yeah.
But to bring in, I mean, it's always just, you know, it's a cliche thing, but it's always just, you know, you have to create something new and create storylines around it to get people, because I don't think that people are going to care so much. People watch football not because they play football, but because they're like hype about this team because they're from like they're from their city, they're from their nation that you see ad infinitum, right? Or I'm a fan of this player because he's Swedish, right? Zlatan, right?
Yeah.
Or just, and so I think the main thing is it's very clever to have created the actual city-based teams, because once you saw those launch parties going down where they, you know, like the 600 people I think they were watching in a warehouse in Houston, and then like there were several hundred watching in Boston. I mean, they were packing out venues for the launch of this thing. And so if that becomes a thing, a recurring thing, that can, like, that to me sounds really promising in terms of bringing in new people, because what do? You bring your friends. You're going to a bar anyway, right? So it's like, hey, you know, why don't you just like, hey, let's just go over here and see this thing tonight, right? And maybe you get your friends excited and interested, you know, and it kind of like grows out that way. I feel like everybody kind of just stumbles in the dark when it comes to this question. I don't feel like there is like this proven answer, and if there is, I don't really know it, apart from just being, you just have to have people who are good at their jobs in terms of the commentary, that make it exciting to watch and make it fun to watch.
Yeah.
They've already made pretty great strides in terms of readability of the game, being able to see what's actually going on in the game. And I attribute a lot of that to the devs, but also to Jason Baker, who is a ultra vet who's been doing productions for years and years and years and years.
He was my first boss in esports. Did you know that?
No way.
Yeah, back in the Godfrag
Really?
days.
He'd be a good boss.
Yeah. Also,
like
you know, do you know Imagine from the Spectator team?
Imagine? I would probably be able to like recognize his face. I don't know the names yet on all of them.
Yeah, Imagine 40. He was a mod on the channel for like 2 years, and then he got a job at Blizzard. So dude, I have personal
Baker
ties
is one
to
of the
league.
best.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. Have you watched the weekly recap show and the preview show?
I watched the preview show. I did not watch the recap show.
I think it's like we need to do more content like that as well, because the amount of feedback that we got, where it's like people were like, holy shit, I usually snooze through this kind of content or don't care about it or just turn it off or whatever, but I watch this whole thing. And the reason is because you're bringing in professionals from other industries who actually have been doing this for years and who kind of have an idea of how to make a compelling show.
Yeah.
And you're letting them have free reign. You're letting them actually do what it is you hired them to do. And so that's it's like actual compelling side content can be a way to to build stories and to keep people interested as well if they happen to watch it, right? And so if they keep up with these shows and actually are consistent with them, that could be a way to, you know, retain interest as well. I mean, growing it, I feel like I'm kind of disappointing Wheat right now because I don't feel like I have the answer. I feel like I'm just trying to focus on doing the best I can do in terms of commentary and hoping that that's, you know,
right. It's not necessarily your job to figure it out. You're there to just cast in general, for sure.
But then again, like
I don't feel like there is this answer.
Yeah.
Like this magic.
There's no magic bullet.
Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like we've seen it. We've seen like. Do you guys remember the XFL?
Oh, of course.
That tried to be a thing.
Yeah.
And
I
this
heard
was like
trying to make that a thing.
People who knew what they were doing and professionals and shit. And it failed within like what, 2 years?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing like. There's got to be something that you can't explain that happens that makes it really super popular.
I kind of feel that.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I kind of feel like they've laid the seeds for growth just because of who they've got involved in the leagues. Not only do they have casters from other games bringing in the fans that they had in those games, they also had teams that built their brand in other games and then came over and put a different brand on those teams in the Overwatch League. And you've got people like, you've got the Green Wall watching the Houston Outlaws, and Optic Gaming is fucking gigantic. Like, when you're talking numbers, they are fucking massive. And every time Houston plays, you see a viewer spike, just a tad. It goes up because the entire Green Wall comes out to watch that match. You've got Envy, who are the Dallas Fuel. You'll see their fans come and watch, and they have no idea. A good amount of them do, but a lot of them don't have any fucking clue what's happening in Overwatch, right? So they'll start watching and be like, let me see why this game's interesting. Why did they decide to jump into this world? And I think
this comes back to commentary.
Happen. Yeah.
This comes back, like, okay, for my part, the only thing that I can see is, like, Hex and I both decided that we're not turning it into a classroom. Because I learned that lesson with E-League where I thought, okay, we're going to have a bunch of new viewers, guys, because this is the first time we're on TBS, so let's really dumb it down and try to explain things and da-da-da-da-da. And I think that was now retroactively, or, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that was the bad way to go about it. What I should have done instead is just focused on just trying to have as much fun as possible and be entertaining.
Yeah.
And you're naturally entertaining, you know, cracking jokes if you're having a good time and you just don't have any pressure on you.
Yeah.
So Hex and I, that was a very specific thing that we wanted to do here because we thought, okay, we're going to have a lot of new viewers, cool, but we're not going to spend all of our time turning this into a classroom just trying to be like, and Winston can jump, and that's on an 8-second cooldown. And it's like, no, let's just crack some jokes, you know, shooty shotguns and have a good time.
Just make sure whoever writes, just make sure whoever writes their jokes doesn't write Doa's as well. Just get
nobody writes my jokes, man. Right here.
I know, I'm fucking with.
But yeah, just gotta be in it. You gotta be like, people will, if they find the stream entertaining, they'll stick around and they'll start learning just because that's what they're gonna want to do if they find it entertaining. The other thing I think is gonna be like a key here is look at what happened for CSGO when we had CSGO Lounge. Now, whatever your opinions are on the gambling aspect to it, the fact that people could really get invested in watching those games, that became the hub for CSGO. And our viewership skyrocketed because of it, because people gave a shit, because they were just like really interested now. And even no-name games for no-name teams, you would have 100 viewers. All of a sudden, that stream would have 10,000 because the game was listed on CSGO Lounge. Like, so what is going to be possible when already you see what's being done in the game client here by the devs? Like, what else are they cooking up? Because I don't have the devs on speed dial where I can just call them up and be like, hey, Kaplan, you know, what's coming out this week, right? Like, I don't know, but I'm sure that they're going to be coming up with some clever shit that's actually going to be in the client. And that's like everybody who tunes in, who like plays Overwatch, they're going to see that. And that's a totally different beast from CSGO, from League of Legends even, Dota 2. Like, that's a totally different beast, where it's actually in the client and there can be tools there that really get people interested and involved. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm very curious. Like, I think that there are a lot of things that in this situation that we haven't had before. And so it's breaking new ground.
Are there Vegas odds yet on Overwatch games? Do you know? Can you bet on that stuff?
I don't know if there are Vegas odds, but I'm pretty sure in Scandinavia, Finland, Denmark, like those guys are already running odds for sure.
Yeah.
And that there's a big real money betting market over there. Like, websites where you have to send in like your passport or whatever. You have to really prove like who you are, and then that's it. You can bet real money on CSGO, on all sorts of games. Like they're really invested in esports over there in terms of betting. So there's already that, and you know that that's going to become a thing more and more because hey, guess what? Most of us are over 20.
Yeah.
So
you got expendable money,
over 18.
I also
So,
think someone brought up the idea of the fantasy leagues. I think if Blizzard put a fantasy league in the actual client, like it's godlike. If they end up in
that's the thing. It's like
godlike.
we have the devs. If you think an idea and it's a good one, they could probably do it.
Right.
We've never had this before.
I know for the longest time
in
in MLG, like they wanted a fantasy thing built into MLG, but it's just too hard to do. It's such a fucking massive undertaking. But Blizzard's like the type of organization that probably could do something like that. And it would make sense. Like this week, we're going to choose every Soul Dynasty player and maybe like one guy from that team and one guy from that team, and they're going to be the best. Yeah. And then it would be huge. I could totally see. And then maybe I don't know. You can monetize that however you want. You can get skins in game or whoever wins the league, et cetera, et cetera. It'd be great, especially if they do all that stuff. And it's also interesting because I don't know, does the NFL have their own official fantasy league, or is it all like third party stuff? I
think you're asking the wrong people.
I know. I'm thinking. Yeah, that's why I don't know.
If Monty was here or something, he could give you an answer. But NFL, all that.
Yeah, if you go to fantasy.nfl.com,
they owned it. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's NFL.com. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a great step too. Is that would that would get the 20-year-olds that play games casually that watch sports ball every week to be like, oh shit, this even has like a fantasy league. Maybe I should check out that Overwatch shit. Like that might be a cool step for sure. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any? We kept them a little bit too long and I just realized we only have an hour left. Any final questions for Mr. Can you pronounce your name by the way? Because I don't want to butcher the Frenchman because I feel like I just can't do it correctly.
It's Auguste Massona.
Okay, there you go.
But if you want, you can call me August.
Yeah,
that works too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought it was pronounced Semmler.
yeah, exactly.
Where did Semmler come from? By the way, where'd that name come
from? Dogs of War by Frederick Forsyth. It was a book. I was creating a rogue in World of Warcraft. I needed a shifty guy. It's a book on mercenaries. I was like, cool, mercenaries are shifty.
Okay,
there you go.
A WoW name. It's funny. Full circle. Now you're working for Blizzard.
So someone in my chat actually asked this, and this is a good point. So Overwatch, or a good question. Overwatch has a map coming out soon.
Yeah.
So
Blizzard World or
one of the things that I'm interested in is what is that like for you as one of the top tier Overwatch casters? Is this oh cool, a map is coming out, or oh god, now I need to like scour this map and learn every turn and watch hundreds of hours of it? Like how does that play into what you do?
It plays into exactly that. The routine of the day gets shifted a little bit because all of a sudden you're going to be spending time like just literally trying to break the map because you need to try and find what the players are doing as well. Anders, my co-commentator in CSGO, that's what he used to do. Theory crafting with Anders, where he would try and break every map and figure out all the cool things that you could do with it, right? And that was his bag. And so when it came to commentary, for him, he knew everything about every map because he was like, oh yeah, I spent 3 hours trying to figure that out. I'm probably not going to spend that amount of time trying to break the map personally. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting because you're like, oh shit, okay. So we have the best players in the world here with some of the best minds in Overwatch. What kind of crazy shit are these guys going to come up with, right? Like, because that's the thing. It's like Junkertown with the pirate ship, right? It's just like, holy shit, now Bastion is like the staple? Where did this ever happen, right?
Well, there was even that moment last week with Fleta where he just randomly had this fucking spot up on the left part of the first part of the map, just lands up there and snipes someone. You're just like, you can do that? And this is coming from someone that has like 1,000+ hours in the game, and you're just like, huh, well, anyways.
Exactly, because you get so locked into you get locked into habit, right, of thinking, oh, this is how it's done. You're not challenging, right?
Right.
Challenging the thing. And so when a new map comes out, all of a sudden it's just like, oh, the possibilities, right? And then obviously, I think it's more the West than the Koreans. Like, they need to find every goddamn edge they can possibly find to compete with the Koreans.
Yeah.
So those guys, Papa Huck and his boys, they better be, going over this map with a fine-tooth comb, trying to figure out every little thing that they can use because they're going to need it, right? And so it's exciting for the viewers too because for that very reason, they're like, shit, okay, cool. Maybe this will change the meta. Maybe this will change what I see on a regular basis because all these other maps we've seen a lot, and so we know what to expect. But yeah, it definitely shakes things up for us. When a new map comes out, it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing like, oh, fuck, It's definitely like, okay, cool. Like, what's going to happen? What happens next?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Zeke, for you, any final questions for our Frenchman friend?
Yeah, just real quick. do you spend a lot of time researching the actual players so you know like backgrounds and stuff, or is that super important, or is it just something that you kind of like just skim over like their bio and be like, okay, I know a little bit about them?
I used to do that. I used to spend a lot of time. Now I feel like it happens almost organically. Because the more time you spend with people, the more you get to know them. And then, like, history is one thing, but personality is another. And I prefer to like in CS:GO, I was always the guy who was sitting at the hotel bar, or, you know, wherever, right, and just talking to players, because then you get to know them. And then that kind of gives you a window, like an insight. And then maybe they give you a little insight on what's going on into the team, but also their personality, you can kind of read into like how they're playing the game in a given moment if you kind of know them a little bit better rather than just a face, right? You could be like, oh, well, this guy's probably raging right now because he doesn't like X, you know? And so that's the kind of stuff that I find more interesting and compelling rather than just like, he went to university at whatever, right? And so I didn't
even think about like you could actually have a beer with these guys, you know, and just actually talk to them. I didn't even think that was like a thing.
Oh yeah,
dude, that's why
they're all in LA, right? Yeah,
this is nuts. Yeah, this is why it's so fucking sick. This is like I literally have the players like right down the hall. Just go knock on the door. Hey man, I had this question. I was wondering like, why did you pick this hero on this map? You know, like I've never had that before. Like CS:GO, no, everybody's spread out. You know, all corners of the world. Nobody's living in the same place.
Yeah,
unless you're doing E-League, and then you have 4 teams per week, right? Unless you were doing E-League like where you had 4 teams per week, but it's wild.
Yeah,
that's so cool, man.
It is kind of.
It's awesome. It's really awesome. It's like I'm out there having a smoke like at 11, and like some of the Korean players come out. I'm just like, oh, you guys are still here, okay? You know, like that's cool. So it's just a totally different.
So going back to our early conversation, Semmler, you could be like, "Hey, you want to go trip some shrooms or something?"
Yeah, Semmler's gonna be fucking. I'll be your spirit guide, Soul Dynasty.
Yeah.
Oh, this weird English guy is talking. I don't know.
I look the part too, don't I?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know you. That was the funniest part.
Just saying, Semmler. Just saying. The Phoenix tattoo isn't helping your case here.
Let me guide you and be reborn from the ashes.
That was the funniest part.
There's a little death that leads to more life. All right, so sorry, what?
It was the funniest part, I think, when I saw you.
Peyote.
Yeah,
anyway, that's a different show.
It was the funniest part when I saw you last week.
Right, doors of perception, right? Aldous Huxley.
Fucking right, dude.
Let's go.
When I saw you last week and they pulled up your photo for the Overwatch League, I hadn't seen you in probably, I don't know, 2 years, and here you are with this full fucking beard. When did that happen? Has the beard been a mainstay of your brand, or is that new?
No. I used to be the clean shaven one.
Yeah,
this kind of came with letting go and just like kind of just letting things flow.
Okay.
And so it's like the glasses. I used to have like the very square, clean glasses, and then I was like, okay, I want something to get me out of my comfort zone, so I got these glasses, right?
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted these, but I never took that step. I never let myself do it. So this time I was like, fuck it. And I just got the glasses that I wanted. Beard, same thing. I had a month off, or like 3 weeks off in like July, I think. And I was just like, you know, didn't shave, and I was like, you know what? I just won't shave, and just kept growing it out. So.
I was telling.
I'm trying to cultivate this whole like approach now, where it's just like, you know, just kind of let things flow and see where they go, not try to control things so much. And so the beard kind of happened naturally, the glasses too, the hair too. Everything.
I'll always remember, and I was telling Zeke this story before. I'll always remember the first time I met you. We were at some fucking bar. I'm pretty sure it might have been in Anaheim as well. And the person,
MLG, wasn't it?
It might have been the MLG.
Anaheim.
And the person I was dating at the time was there as well, and you both spoke French. And the entire time I'm thinking, this guy's hitting on her. This guy's hitting on my girlfriend. Yes. The entire time I was at dinner.
I need to get this weight off my chest. It totally was.
Yeah. No. And so the entire time I'm like, this fucking asshole. Yeah. It was so funny. I was thinking about that last week.
I gotta say, with your position as one of the first broadcasters of the first Overwatch League, this I almost wanted to call you Professor Semmler when you came on today, and I think that kind of fits this whole thing. Like, that works really well. Like, you're introducing this whole new medium to thousands and thousands of people, and you have this like, I'm educated and know what I'm talking about look, which is really working. So that's good. That's good.
And then they hear me cast, and I'm just like, choppy, but chop, he's dead. I'm not educated at all. Like,
oh man.
Hey, I'm fine with that. I mean, that's you gotta. Yeah. That was. I was getting compared to a few people. Harry Potter is obviously the one.
Oh, with the circle spectacles. Yeah.
Yeah, but there were a few others that I was just. Yeah. No. So yeah. No, to clear things up. Yeah, JP, dude. Well, I mean, come on. Yeah. She was really cute.
No, that was
so French.
it was so funny because I remember afterwards.
I'm French.
Well, here's me, you know,
like total freedom to just do whatever the fuck.
Yeah, here's me, like the dumb Texas guy, thinking like, well, they're speaking French. I have no. And then you guys go outside and have a smoke. I'm like, well, anyways.
Well, I had some good times with her, but I guess that's about it.
Yeah, that was funny, man. That was a funny time for sure.
That was a good night. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It is what it is. It was funny stuff.
It is what it is. Back in the day, I remember.
Oh, I cut him off. I couldn't hear it anymore. He pissed me off too much.
Yeah, I was going to say, JP,
now.
there's two ways that a woman can break up with you. They can tell you that it's over, or they can go have a smoke with a Frenchman.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the two different ways.
Exactly.
to let you know if the relationship is done. Yeah.
Similar, you lagged out there. What were you saying? What was the last thing you said?
Oh no, I was just making like some bland generalization about positive, back in the day, esports was so electric and cool, and it's like we're kind of like whatever.
It was 6 years ago, man.
Everything is fresh, and then it's about trying to figure out how to keep things fresh.
Yeah,
So,
I can't believe that was
what we're
6
trying
years
to do
ago.
now with Overwatch League. I know, right? It's fucking mind blowing. Where did the time go? Feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, that's
unreal.
Crazy thing. Well,
so I don't know if you guys saw this, but ESPN tweeted that the Overwatch League's opening day live stream outperformed Thursday Night Football in terms of unique viewers.
On like,
really?
what is that comparing to? Like TV viewers or like?
Wait, what?
Like, does it say in the article? Because a lot of those things are
see.
salacious, and like once you read the nitty gritty, it's not that impressive.
No, it's on ESPN. It's on ESPN.com. Yeah, it comes from ESPN.com. It says the Overwatch League reached 10 million unique viewers across all platforms, an average of 280,000 viewers per minute. Yeah, and that's,
Actually, you know what? I found the tweet. I'm going to drop this in chat for anyone who wants to read it.
Dang.
Yeah,
This
I kind of
is an
want to see
actual
that.
article and everything. Oh,
What the fuck?
There
That
it
sounds
is.
like really good. You know what I mean? Oh, it's Jacob Wolf too. Okay, shit. He's not gonna fuck around.
Is he one of the esports writers?
Yeah, and he's the one who gets all the leaks and everything.
1,000 viewers per minute on Twitch and MLG.
Yeah, I mean the other thing, other companies have done this before, but the Overwatch, the Blizzard launcher, had the stream in it, as well as the Overwatch client, I think, had the stream in it. So think how many people play Blizzard games and have to go through that client every single day. There's a good amount of traffic for sure.
The crazy thing is, though, is again going back to. Go ahead, please.
No, go ahead.
You're the guest. You go first.
No, please. No, you go. No.
Uh-oh. Politeness battle. I choose you. You win.
Oh, damn it. Okay, fine. So going back to what we talked about at the beginning, this article is exactly what we were talking about, because this is basically a flag. This is like, oh, so you're giving money to the NFL? Well, that's great, because these other guys just trumped them, and here's exactly why. And it gives all the data in front of it. I had no idea about this. Like, I knew the Overwatch League was good, but this is kind of stunning.
Look at this 2-year the fucking Twitch thing. Is this real?
You didn't know about that last week?
Do we still have Wheat in the chat?
No, this is real. Yeah, we talked about this last week. They bought it for 90 million exclusivity.
Yeah.
Like that's like, what are the sources on this?
No, it's
Again,
real. It's 100% real. We talked about last
It's
week.
100%
in depth.
legit.
Yeah, 90 million was the deal.
Okay. So
I mean,
as
then we're talking about like real money here. Like that's some skrill. Like,
Well,
also,
it's
there's an
10%.
important differentiation that they're comparing this to the Amazon NFL live stream and not general TV.
See, that's what I was saying.
exactly, and there it is.
That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah, I thought
you're
that might have been
looking
the
for.
case.
So this is not quite us yet barging into cable television's football realm. But here's the thing. It's a step in the right direction. Credit where it's due. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Obviously not there yet.
But I don't like this kind of fluff piece either. You know what I mean? Where it's just like you try and frame it into something that it isn't. You know?
Yeah. The key word there is live stream. Like that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be
we
fair,
said
the
live
title
stream.
says Overwatch League outperforms Thursday Night Football live stream on opening day. It's not really clickbait. It's just you really have to like take the title for what it is. It's not saying it's better than Thursday Night Football. saying that it's better than Thursday Night Football live stream. So yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, still, I mean, Netflix, Hulu, internet, this is where most people are getting their content these days. So when we look at kind of like the people that are getting the content in the next generation of content consumption, and those people are choosing Overwatch over the NFL, that's telling. That is still something that is worth paying attention to, even though the article's a little clickbaity. Like, that's a real number to look at.
But I mean, to be fair to the article itself, the title of the article is Overwatch League outperforms Thursday Night Football live stream. So live stream is in the title.
It is in the title.
Yeah. So it's not. They're not hiding anything. Really.
You're right, Zeke. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Anyways,
did that hurt for you to say that, Go?
No,
I thought that's why you were laughing. It's like, that's a good point.
Well, the reason I said it's a good point is because I said that literally 2 minutes before you said it.
I was checking the goddamn. My dog was barking. I had to see it was at the door. I missed that part. No, actually, I brought up the article, so. Jesus. Trying to make excuses.
anyways,
I love this show.
are you casting today,
this is
Semmler?
great, guys.
Are you on the
No,
docket
not
to
today,
cast?
but tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow, Friday, and then I'll be hosting the desk on Saturday.
Oh, Puckett's giving over the reins of the desk.
Just for a day.
Ooh, okay.
But we'll see.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Is Puckett not going to work then? Is he not going to do anything? He's having a day off, I guess. He probably deserves it after going the entire week. But
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. But no, I mean, you'll see. I don't know if I should have said anything, but I was just like, fuck it, whatever. Like, people are gonna know anyway. And, like,
well, we'll see it on
day.
Saturday. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
But,
cool. We'll be looking forward to that stuff. Why don't you do some shout outs here? If anyone want to check out the Overwatch League or check out any of your stuff, feel free to tell them where to go.
Shout outs to itmeJP, Co-Carnage, and Ezekiel for the awesome podcast. I really enjoyed my time here. Thanks, guys, for having me. Yeah, and okay, so esports fashionista, right?
I mean, you're stroking the beard right
Yeah,
now.
that
You're
all
just
checks.
living that meme.
Living the
I'm looking
dream.
at this right now, yeah. All right, so yeah, Twitch, if you want, overwatchleague.com is where you can find the info. They also have the app on the phone, which I downloaded the other day to actually take a look at it because I heard that people were saying it was pretty good, and it is actually pretty fucking good. Like, you can even follow your team, so you get notifications when your team is playing, so you may not even like have to check the schedule. Say you're like a Valiant fan and you're just like, I only want to know when Valiant are playing. Like, you can literally just do that in the app, and then it'll just send you a little ping to let you know when their match is coming up. I mean, there's a bunch of cool shit on the phone that I was just like, woo! So check out Overwatch. I think it's like, if you just search like Overwatch in the iOS and Google Play or whatever, you can find that there. It's really good. I've been enjoying using it. Just big shout out to the Overwatch community for being so welcoming, despite some of the spicy drama that was going down before me coming into all of this. Now that we are in it, everybody seems to be really fucking cool. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. And of course, shout out to the CSGO community. I'm sorry, guys. I'm out.
I'm fucking done. I got the check. I'm running.
I'm out of here. No, but,
shout out to the CSGO community for getting you to the Overwatch League.
Yeah, there you go.
Shout out to the guys, all of the CS guys who sent me kind messages, who really, it felt like you guys meant it, so thanks to that. Thanks to you guys for that, really.
Yeah.
Well, you got to know there's like CSGO commentator waiting in the wings. He's just like, oh shit, Semmler's out. Here's my chance.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
There was
how it
one
is.
of them, and he was an analyst at the time, but he didn't wait for me to move. He made his move.
Jesus. That's another show that might not be on Rough Range. Yeah. All right, we're going to let you go, Semmler. We got to talk about normie video games. Good luck with the league.
Thank you for being on, man. This has been an awesome show. Very, very
anytime, guys. Anytime. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun.
Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Fascinating conversation for real. Like, I know nothing about this world, and I had my rapt attention the whole time.
Yeah.
Good point to say real quick before Semmler leaves.
Yep.
A lot of people in chat noticed that me and Zeke were quiet during that. That's because we were listening. That's because we were genuinely listening to what JP and him were talking about. This is stuff that we aren't really, this isn't a world we're a part of, but it's fascinating to hear people that live in it. So yeah, just to make that very clear, like, there's no boredom. There's no, like, this is really entertaining because, again, we're not a part of this world. So it's cool to hear about it. It's very
Thanks
cool
for
to hear
clearing that up. I was wondering if I was talking too much there for a second.
No.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's kind of an agreed upon
Right.
thing. When we bring an esports person on, they kind of get quiet and they'll listen for a little bit, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I can jump in here," and then we'll jump in. Yeah,
We do when we can, but the thing is like me and Zeke just don't want to fill the show with conversation that doesn't have anything to do with the subject matter that we're talking about. That's rude, like we'd much rather have you guys talk about what you guys know about, and then we'll listen and ask questions when we can, which we do. But no, it's fascinating. It's great. So yeah.
Appreciate you coming on. Overwatch League kicks off in 3 hours and 40 minutes. Twitch.tv/Overwatch League. Semmler will be casting tomorrow. You can check him out over there. Follow his Twitter. He'll tweet out, of course, when the games will begin. That's going to do it for this portion. We'll come back with a quick little snippet of what we've been playing and a little bit more. So we'll be right back. More drop frames right after this. We'll see you guys in just a bit.